Picture this. It's 1991. You just got home from school, and it's a Friday afternoon. You rush to finish all your chores in time for dinner. You greet your family, finish up the dishes, and head up to your room. It's time. You saved up your monthly allowance for this moment. You bought a new game at the local game market, and now you can finally play it. You pop in your Famicom cartridge, dim the lights down, and snuggle yourself in your warm blanket. And you hear that beautiful jingle on your CRT TV. Then, the title card drops. Fire Emblem Gaiden. Released in 1991, Fire Emblem Gaiden is the weird sequel to Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. The 90s were a very experimental age for Nintendo when it came to the sequels. Gaiden plays almost nothing like its predecessor, similar to how The Legend of Zelda went from a top-down RPG to a side-scroller RPG, or how Final Fantasy II completely changed the class system in favor of whatever this is. Gaiden made so many changes from Shadow Dragon, one might wonder if this is even a Fire Emblem game. And truth be told, I don't know either. One thing I do know is that as of 2023, Gaiden has not seen an international release. Yes, its dad, Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, saw a very temporary international digital release on the Switch eShop. It did, however, get a remake called Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. However, today's commentary will ignore all of that. I will be focusing on an extended playthrough of Fire Emblem Gaiden. From the gameplay, soundtrack, and atmosphere, you might be wondering if this game is even worth playing. Is this game fun? Should you even waste your time exploring the black sheep of the series? Please, bring yourself back to 1991, grab your blanket, make yourself comfortable, and relax your mind. For this journey, we are going to play Fire Emblem Gaiden from start to finish. By the way, if you clicked on this video because of the thumbnail or because you really enjoy the art style, I actually commissioned this to be made by someone. Their Instagram handle is HeyAsCanvas. They don't typically do stuff like this, but they're a very, very talented artist, so if you like their stuff, give them a follow on Instagram. Okay, enough shilling, back to this story. Our story immediately kicks off with our protagonist, Alm of Ram Village, who lives with his grandfather, Sir Mycen. On this fateful day, Luca, a soldier of the Liberation Army, visits and asks for Sir Mycen's help in freeing Sofia, the country they reside in, from the Regale Empire. Sir Mycen disrespectfully declines as he believes war brings sorrow. Luca also disrespectfully calls Sir Mycen a coward and is about to leave when Alm, being the headstrong bully he is, goes in his grandfather's stead. He is not alone, however, as his boys Cliff, Gray, and Robin join him. An unlikely band of 5 boys leave their village to change the course of history forever. One thing that will immediately catch your eye is you can move your character around the town, almost like a traditional JRPG. This is a huge step up from Shadow Dragon, and this was likely inspired by Dragon Warrior or even Final Fantasy. You can talk to people, check your stats, inventory, the usual stuff. Upon leaving the village, you're immediately thrown into your first skirmish. Alm and the gang versus some bandits. Let's do this. Now this is more like it. This is the core gameplay of Fire Emblem Gaiden, a tactical strategy JRPG. Think of this like chess with role-playing elements, but you knew that already, didn't you? For those of you new to the series or haven't played the previous game, let me give you a rundown of how these battles play out. These are units, pieces or characters, if you will, that you can interact with. Units have a variety of properties and actions they can do. Let's start with their properties. Units have a class. Our 3-village trio, Cliff, Gray, and Robin, are the villager class. Basic combat units with low stats that can use a sword. Sort of like me as a kid, pretending my pencil was a blade. Their potential is unlimited. Luca is a soldier. Soldiers are strong and bulky, but are slow and lack mobility. They specialize in lances. Alm, our protagonist, is a fighter. Compared to his friends, his stats are much higher and well-rounded, like the older brother of the family. Those pink, red, dancing guys, those are bandits. They're axe-wielding baddies with low stats. If you select your unit, you can see your characters have a number of properties and various numbers associated with it. With these classes also come stats. These stats are HP, attack, skill, speed, luck, defense, and magic defense. HP is your health. If it reaches 0, your unit dies. Unlike say Final Fantasy or Dragon Warrior, if your unit dies, they actually cannot come back. This raises the stakes of each fight as every decision matters. This is the flagship concept of what makes Fire Emblem so unique from other games. Power is your offense. The higher your offense, the more damage you do. Pretty straightforward. Skill is your accuracy. The higher your skill, the more accurate your attacks are, which helps when your enemies have high speed or avoid. Speed is how fast your unit is, and it also affects how likely you are to dodge an attack. Higher speed means more chances to dodge. Luck affects a variety of things. For now, don't worry about it. I will explain what luck does as we journey further along. Defense lets you take less damage from weapon attacks, a higher defense lets you reduce more damage. And magic defense is the same, but this applies to spells and magical damage. Each unit has their own unique stat parameters that sets them apart. For example, Cliff is very slow, but has a lot of magical defense, which makes him great against magic. Meanwhile, Robin is very fast, which makes him very dodgy. Now, I hope you're following along, because now we could talk about what your units can do. Units can do a number of actions. When it is your turn, all your units can do the following: move, attack, and wait. You can move your unit around like a chess piece along a square grid. The number of spaces you can move is equal to your movement. Everyone here can move 4 spaces, except Alm. Alm can move 5 spaces, which kinda makes him a pretty special guy. You know what's kinda spooky though? The enemies can move as well. Yes, they too can move and will move towards you. Once you move your unit, or you can choose not to move them, you can either wait and do nothing, or if they're in range, you can attack something. Did you catch that? Good. Select your unit, choose an opponent, and let's get into a fight. This is the fight screen. Here, you can watch your unit enter a scuffle with the enemy. There is only one goal: get your enemy's HP down to 0. How does this work? It's very simple. Let's break it down together. Whoever started the fight will get the first strike. If they're still alive, your opponent will politely retaliate with an attack of their own. Now, here is the fun part. Remember your speed? Well, whoever has the higher speed will get to make a second attack. The slower unit will be forced to eat the second attack and cannot retaliate. When the opponent attacks first, the order is reversed. Awesome, right? Well, there's more. After every exchange, you will gain experience points. If you can knock your opponent down to 0 HP, you will get even more experience. Gain 100 of these and you will level up. Once you level up, your stats have a random chance to increase by 1. Every character has their own unique chances of their stats leveling up, making every playthrough unique to each individual and save file. Thank you for being patient with me, now let's go kick some butt. This battle features a group of bandits that probably wanted to raid Ram Village. As the first level of the game, it sort of features itself as a tutorial for us. The enemy deals very minimal damage, and for the most part, it is quite difficult to die. Oh, before I forget, I do need to mention, if Alm dies, it is an automatic game over, and we will have to restart the level. Now, we have 2 goals for this level. Our first goal is to reduce all our enemies' HP to 0. Our secondary goal is to use these weak enemies to train up our villagers. Remember a few minutes ago, I vaguely mentioned villagers have untapped potential? That wasn't a throwaway line. If we train up the guys from Ram Village, something amazing can happen. After we're done routing the bandits, the level ends and we can continue our journey. Gaining back control of Alm, you'll notice Fire Emblem Gaiden features a world map for you to explore. The world map was something absent from the previous Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon. In that game, you just went from fight to fight, but here you can explore the map and go back to previous areas. This concept will be expanded on later, but for now let's take the fight further into the Thieves' Woods. You may notice some unfamiliar units and tiles. Let's talk about them. That guy with the bow that Luca just attacked? That's an archer. Archers use bows to attack their opponent from afar. Archers are unique in that they don't have to be beside you to attack. Yep, they can actually attack from 3 spaces away, and sometimes 5, depending on their weapon. Unless you also have a bow or some good magic, you cannot retaliate against an opponent that is too far. we should take caution against archers. You'll also notice trees on the map. Trees are a special type of terrain that increases your void, which is the chance for your unit to dodge an attack. It's good to stand on trees as it reduces your chance of getting hit in combat. Watch out though, the enemy will also use trees to their advantage. As you can see here, when an enemy is on a tree, hitting could be very frustrating, so take caution. If you understand this, we can proceed and rout these rowdy bandits. And here we have the first level up from our party. This time, Luca gained HP and skill, which makes him slightly more tanky and accurate against enemies. Continue to use these weak enemies to train up your boys, and notice when Robin levels up, a special text is shown. Robin can be promoted. What does this mean? Tag along with me and we'll find out in a bit. Clearing that group grants us access to their home base, the Thieves' Shrine. You ready for your field trip? Let's go. More bandits means more opportunities to train up your weaker guys. Eventually, Cliff has the option to promote as well. It seems you need to be level 3 to promote, so Gray most likely can already promote at this point. Venture deep into the shrine, and we'll meet a cleric named Silk. She got kidnapped, and now she wants to join our team. Short and simple. Notice those 2 statues with lion heads? These lions can raise the stat to specialize in by 1. The catch, however, is that they can only do it up to 3 times, shared among the 2. The left gives speed, while the right gives HP. Let's ignore them for now and inspect the middle statue. The shrine talks to us. Step forth and receive your promotion. The statue asks if we want to promote Cliff to a mercenary. Let's say yes and see what happens. With a flashing light, the earth rumbles, and Cliff is bestowed the title of mercenary. Well, minus the lights and tremors, Cliff gains a bunch of crazy stats, 6 skill, 8 speed, and 3 HP. It seems the villagers who are eligible can change their class. The options are soldier, mage, cavalier, mercenary, and archer. Mages use magic to attack, cavaliers ride on horses with excellent mobility, and mercenaries are fast fighters. Selecting no will give your character another option for a promotion. Unfortunately, you cannot choose your class, it is completely random, and you'll have to keep talking to the altar until you get your desired class. For our playthrough, I'm going to make both Gray and Robin mages, while Cliff becomes a mercenary. Cliff is very slow, so by making him a mercenary, we can perhaps fix his low speed and make him a formidable fighter. I think Gray and Robin can cover our team lacking magic and make up for that while the others focus on physical hits. After we're done that, we should use the lion heads to give our characters some speed. Let's give Robin 2 speed and Gray 1 speed. This should help them make double attacks in the long run. Exit the Thieves' Shrine and let's continue our little conquest. With their newfound power, our army is much stronger and able to take on stronger foes. Silk is the new face in our army and is a cleric. Clerics can heal and support your party. Silk has 2 spells, a simple heal spell and a health draining spell. In Fire Emblem Gaiden, all spells cost HP to cast. If you don't have HP, you can't cast a spell. For mages, they compensate this by giving them larger health pools. And for clerics, they have the spell Nosferatu that can drain HP with literally a 50% accuracy to hit. Now, while I was doing this map, I needed to send someone to intercept an enemy mercenary. He has a leather shield, which gives 3 additional defense, which is actually enough to literally take 1 damage from any physical fighter on my team. Mages, however, will have a much easier time dealing with them. Unfortunately, Gray, whom I sent to fight him, died, and Silk, who was backing him up, died as well. He got hit by an unlucky critical hit, and I was forced to restart the map. Also, side note, every unit has a random chance to inflict a critical hit, which triples your damage, which kinda is how Gray died. Luckily, I got my revenge on round 2 and cleared the map rather painlessly. When enemies have an item, they drop it upon death. If I can give any tip, I would give the leather shield you get to any mage on your team. Your mages have naturally high HP, but since magic costs HP, their health can get whittled down pretty quickly. With the leather shield, they can dive headfirst into combat and take at most 2 damage and sometimes even 1 at the beginning stages. Trust me, it's a great idea. Traveling along further, we reach a fortress with some soldiers. Gone are the days of fighting simple bandits. Now we're fighting actual army squadrons. That archer just inspected, he has the steel bow. Steel bows give archer up to 5 range of combat, which is insane. No one on my team can match his range, so I'll have to lure him to the wall. It also makes him deadly to a hit, although his attacks are not very accurate. By luring him to the wall and forcing the archer to attack at his maximum range, he'll put himself in a position where my mages can fight him at 2 range over the wall and take him out. Gray moves into position and takes him out in 1 round with a double attack. When accounting for mages and spells, each spell has their own property. Right now, we have access to fire. The fire spell has 1 to 2 range, costs 1 HP to cast, and adds 3 to your power, but weighs you down also by 3. There are much more spells down the line, but the starter spell for all regular mages is fire. After clearing out the fort without much trouble, we quickly raid the fortress and find ourselves a woman named Claire. Claire is the sister of the leader of the Liberation Army, and she joins our party to help us fight. We also claim for ourselves a Thunder Sword. The Thunder Sword is amazing. It gives the wielder a flat 15 damage thunder attack that hits magic defense. Most enemies have 0 magic defense in the beginning, which can equal to a deadly 30 damage attack if you can double them. I give it to Cliff, as the sword is pretty heavy and weighs you down by 3. If I gave it to Alm, he would stop double attacking most units. With this sword, Cliff is now a war machine and can more or less solo every enemy that he can retaliate at this point. Also, yeah, this is Claire. She rides a flying Pegasus, which lets her bypass all terrain, and she can go on tiles that foot units cannot, such as mountains. Unfortunately, her combat is a little shaky. She's fast, but her power is somewhat low and her physical bulk is on the lower end. She'll definitely have her uses with her excellent mobility though, so keep that in mind. You may have also noticed that I do this strange thing where I sometimes don't attack enemies, and I also position my units to block certain areas. I'll adjust this right now. These are heal tiles. Those pink squares give units a lot of avoid, as well as health regeneration each turn. They're powerful tiles, and enemies love them. So much so, that if an enemy reaches 50% of their HP, their behavior is completely overwritten, and they beeline for the nearest heal tile. The enemy AI doesn't like to die, and if they can help it, they'll run to get healing. That's why I do some weird stuff with my team, because I don't want to waste too much time chasing down a fleeing enemy, and if they do reach a heal tile, it's a pain in the butt to hit them without magic. If you stand or block a heal tile, the AI has a brain fart and doesn't know what to do. Sometimes they'll freak out and start attacking, most times they just sit there and do nothing. While it may sound like a good strategy to speed up the game, it is risky and it comes back to haunt me a lot. You'll see. The next map is a particular controversial one, but I for one like it. When it comes to map design, Gaiden takes the atmospheric approach more often than not. To be more specific, instead of considering what is good for gameplay, they focused on what will match the context and feeling of this fantasy world. This map is a big example of that. This map is humongous. Multiple screens, your army can move 4-5 tiles max with a select few covering more ground. Your army needs to press on, but there's 2 squads of cavaliers closing in on you. They attempt to pincer attack, where as you're dealing with one group, the other is rapidly approaching you from behind. I love this. It really makes you feel like you're being surrounded, but at the same time you have a few turns to prepare for the onslaught and plan how you're going to handle them. For example, do you rush in the first squad and hope to take them out before the second one approaches? Do you hold a choke point by the bridge and stall the second group? Or do you simply hold your ground and let them all close in at once? There are numerous ways to tackle this map, and while it may not seem so intricate, it really does play into the fantasy of being a tactician and ordering your units around. It's fun stuff. Many would disagree and complain about the map being a huge empty nothing, but I kinda think that was the point. That aside, we enter the Liberation headquarters, and for some reason this Python guy tries to stop us. We tell him we're with the army, and he warns us there's demons crawling inside. What kind of backwards headquarters is this? Walk in deeper and bear witness to the demonic enemies lurking inside. Fire Emblem Gaiden, unlike its predecessor, features non-playable characters known as monsters. Monsters come in all shapes and sizes, and here we have zombies and bone walkers. Zombies are pathetic. They're weak, slow, frail, and give little experience. The only thing they have going for them are their decent sized HP pool. To be frank, they're just annoying. Bone Walkers are next in the monster hierarchy and they're slightly more threatening. You can compare them to soldiers. Slow, but they have good bulk and decent power. Even Alm, who is my strongest fighter, only does 3 hit damage per hit. I highly recommend magic or mages against these guys. Seriously, they're a lifesaver. Clear out the undead and walk in further to reach the leader of the Liberation Army, Clive, and his comrade Force. Out of nowhere, Clive steps down and appoints us as the new leader of the army. I guess us being related to Sir Mycen was good enough for Clive. Force also tags along as well. While we're here, promote anyone you need to, talk to the Lions for either defense or power, and head outside. I gave all my power upgrades to Clive. He seems really strong. Python joins up as well as we exit the headquarters, and we can finally tackle the last map of Act 1, Sophia Gate. Look at that. We're finally here. All that stands in our way is Dozer and Slade. We got a full army against theirs. The only thing left to do is to on guard. I just want to start off by saying this map is great. From having to check through the hallway of death, guarded by 3 archers shooting you down, to the gate having only one opening unless you use Claire to open a second locked door, this map just oozes fun and strategy. In an unfortunate blunder, I accidentally lure out Slade and he goes straight after Clive. Not wanting him to run away and heal himself back to full, I commit to the engage and gang up on Slade. In this game, the most effective way to deal with strong enemies is to simply surround them and prevent their escape. One thing I didn't mention, castle tiles give an avoid bonus, which means everyone is having a harder time hitting each other. This especially becomes a problem when trying to take out Slade. I only have 1 healer, and all of my guys are worn down from the archers and from blocking Slade. It was very bloody, and I almost did lose everyone, but eventually I pulled through and defeated Slade. Dozer, the coward he is, runs away and we're left to clean up the remnants. We've got some new enemy types to interact with. Wizards, which are essentially enemy mages that can cast dark magic like Dora, which is a slime ball. Interesting. And we have a knight. Don't bother attacking with weapons, it'll tink off and do 1 damage. Also, he has 16 attack, so all the better reason not to fight him with weapons. Use magic or the Thunder Sword. Finish all the remaining enemies and reclaim Sophia Gate from the Regel Empire. Walk around a bit, and you'll find that the Royal Sword of Sophia was stolen by Dozer. To compensate, we do get the Knight's Lance, a lance that deals increased damage to horses. Walk to the top of the gate, and we meet Sir Mycen? What are you doing here? He explains it is fate that we meet here, and that a red-haired girl will also greet us here. What does he mean? We'll find out in Act 2. Save your game, turn off the console, and we'll resume our playthrough. Welcome back. You may recall from the beginning of this journey, or from the box art, that this is a tale of 2 stories. One is of Alm of Ram Village on a quest to liberate Sophia, and the other is Celica from the Novus Islands. Act 2 opens up with Celica departing for the Temple of Milla in search of answers. It's been 3 years since crops have grown, and as a priestess, Celica seeks the guidance of Milla, the earth goddess of Sophia. Noma, the head priest, warns her of the dangers ahead. Pirates, demons, the usual. He then bestows upon her his blessings and she's off. Her trusty companions May and Bowie join her, as well as Jenny the cleric. May makes a snarky remark about her magic surpassing Bowie's, and they're off. The unlikely quartet sets out in search of answers to this plague that befell Sophia. 3 years of no crops is an insane peril to be in. Makes you wonder how they even survive. Before we set out, we are immediately presented with 2 lion heads, one of power and one of speed. These are very good stats, and it's going to be tough to decide our starting stats. I think for our journey, I think May will be very capable. She says she can use thunder magic, unlike Bowie. What does thunder do? No idea, but it's intriguing enough for me to invest 2 power and 1 speed for May. Let's head out. Our first challenge is trekking through the graveyard of the undead. Already starting out strong with some dancing zombies, I see. Immediately you'll notice our party is all mages. Jenny is a cleric, but essentially, we're all magic fighters. Let's run down our party. Celica, the protagonist of the story, is unique in that she can use magic and swords. She will default to using her sword when she counterattacks at one range, but if she can't, she will use fire. May is the star mage of the story. Unlike the Ram boys who have high HP, the mages of Celica's route have low HP, but they're generally faster and stronger. Also, May has more access to spells such as Thunder. Bowie, yeah, it's not Joey, is about as standard as mages go. Nothing to see here. Jenny is very similar to Silk. She's slightly more powerful, which may play in her favor. Now that we know what we're dealing with, we can continue wasting some zombies. One very important mechanic you should take advantage of is Magic Avoid. You see, magic ignores regular terrain avoid bonuses as well as your speed. Your Magic Avoid is actually determined by the luck stat, and enemies always have 0 luck, so be sure to keep that in mind. At this point, since we're all mages, our physical defense is on the low side. Many tiles on this map give avoid, especially the tombstone, which gives us 50 avoid. Luckily, we can take advantage of that. The zombies are unable to use magic, so when you find yourself in a bad situation, sometimes it's just a matter of using terrain to your advantage. Crossing the graveyard, we'll reach the Novus port town. Here, we can meet a drunken mercenary by the name of Saber. Saber insists that we can't cross the sea alone, so Celica hires him as our party's escort. Well, that was easy. Let's talk to some townspeople to learn more about the journey ahead. This person warns us of a zombie dragon at the Sea Shrine. Sea Shrine? A zombie dragon that eats people? What is going on in this country? On the contrary, this person tells us that a powerful sword is at the same Sea Shrine. Well, now we kinda have to go and find this powerful sword, no? Lastly, this civilian warns us that a small group went to avenge their families from Daha, the pirate boss, but they're likely going to die? Well, looks like we have a bunch of new info to keep in mind as we journey out. The first battle is a bunch of bandits. I'll be honest, there isn't anything too interesting here. If you recall the first level of Act 1 with this is essentially the same level, except we have mages that do a truckload of damage to these bandits. Let's check out Saber. Saber is our local mercenary. He's good for strength, he's fast, and kinda bulky. Perfect for protecting our band of mages from physical fighters, given their frailty. Immediately leaving the port, we can see a lot of ships and a few branching paths. Moving on to the second map, things get a little more interesting, as we now have an enemy mercenary to deal with. And will you look at that, he also has a leather shield. Same strategy applies here as the last fighter with the shield, back him onside. Melt him with magic, and don't be afraid to fall back your fighters and heal a Jenny if the enemies overwhelm you, especially the archer. Now, I know you're very curious what Thunder does. Here, I'll show you. Not only is Thunder stronger than fire, it also has more range. Yep, that's right. Thunder has 1 to 3 range, which means it can hit those pesky archers that are sniping your army down. Very useful, albeit it's heavier and less accurate than fire, so take caution when planning around it. The scary part about some boat maps is, enemies will circle around the second bridge and flank your army. Unless you're holding 2 different choke points, we have to be careful letting the back of our army get exposed to bandits. Taking out the mercenary gives us a leather shield, which I immediately give to May. As you can see, the bandit can literally only do 1 damage to May, while she can retaliate and take him out in 1 round. Trust me, giving mages your shield is such a clutch play, you won't regret it. After cleaning up the second ship, we dock our boat at a nearby island and we're face to face with the pirate king of these waters, Daha. We also encountered the group that set out to avenge their families, Valbo, Leo, and Kamui. Valbo can hold his own, but the other 2 can die if they're overwhelmed. Unfortunately, they are controlled by the AI, so they can do unpredictable things. Let's hurry up and rescue him. Daha isn't an ordinary thief, he's a level 10 thief. Actually, he's considerably stronger and he's much faster too. Not saber fast, but he can double attack all my mages because of how magic weighs them down. Also, some of his goonies are level 5, which gives them much more HP and speed. They definitely won't go down in 1 round. My strategy to take on this map was a very aggressive one. Remember, Kamui and Leo are very susceptible to death, and while it isn't a game over, they are valuable members we can recruit. We must act fast and rush in to save them, even if it means running past enemies and putting ourselves in danger. Our mages try to take on the main group, while Saber defends from the back and prevents the flank. Eventually, after some dicey close calls and a lot of misses, Leo decides he's had enough of this battle and runs away to our heal tile. Thankfully, we cleared out everyone on his way to the heal tile and we could safely engage Daha. Valbo, wanting revenge for the Fallen, takes the fight to Daha and the two commence their battle. While Daha is distracted with Valbo, Maze snipes him with thunder over the wall and we finish off the Pirate King once and for all. Once we reconvene with Valbo and his group, he thanks us for our help and joins our group. Leo follows his partner's lead, while Kamui, before joining us, warns us of the zombie dragon at the sea shrine. That dragon talk is back again. Kamui does give us good advice. Apparently we need angel magic to defeat it. What does that mean, or who learns it? We have no idea, but that's a problem for the future. In the chest is a steel sword, whom I appropriately fit to Saber. Back to sea we go. The next ship has one enemy. Okay, let's take this chance to analyze the new members. Kamui is a mercenary. He's slower than Saber, but slightly stronger. He's a decent replacement if you lost Saber somehow. Valbo the Knight is very tanky. All defense and attack, no speed. Leo is an archer similar to Python. Archers in general have mediocre stats all around, but have superior range and area of control. And lastly, we have the Shaman. Now, look. Normally, Shamans are kinda scary. They stand on heal tiles, have high magic defense, and have the ability to summon monsters. Each turn, Shamans have a chance to summon the monsters of their choice. The monster chosen depends on the Shaman. Remember, I said they have a chance. It's a high chance, but it's not 100%. For most battles, the Shaman would summon straight away on turn 1, and you'll have to fight a blockade of monsters in your path. I got very, very lucky. He let me get very close, all the way up to turn 4 I believe, before he did anything. This map, while it tended to be annoying, was actually very manageable and a good source of experience points, as Shamans drop a lot of EXP. Weird programming aside, the next two boat battles aren't really anything to talk about. I do want to highlight how much I love how atmospheric Gaiden is. In Alm's route, you progress from routing bandits to scaling your way through the Regella army. For Celica's route, you're constantly at ends with pirates and they really make you feel like you're fighting a battle between ships, especially with how some maps have multiple planks to enter the ship. For example, the ship with the Arcanist opens up multiple ways to tackle the map. Do you just rush in the right side? Then the other wizards will flank you from the left and your low magic defense units are in trouble. Perhaps you split your army apart and weaken your overall power but strengthen your strategic prowess. Gaiden really does make you feel immersed in the situation you're presented in. Even when the boat is docked, you can still fight in your docked boat if you so please. I think that's Gaiden's biggest strength, the variety in its map structures and how it immerses you in that world. Oh, I almost forgot. During that whole conversation, we managed to learn the Angel spell on Celica. Angel is allegedly the key to defeating the zombie dragon. Let's take a trip to the sea shrine and visit our little friend. Inspect the dragon and wow, he's strong. 15 power, 40 HP, 8 movement, 12 defense and magic defense. He's slow but dang, he's tough. There's no way we're breaking through him with conventional means. If you want my advice, surround him with your tankiest units. Remember, he has 8 moves, so he will beeline for Jenny and obliterate her if he gets the chance to. Valbo is an obvious candidate for blocking duty. Kamui and Saber are good too, they won't get doubled and they can both lift 2 hits respectively. The fourth should be either Bowie or Leo, but they need to hold a leather shield. Mei can do it too, but only if she has 8 speed to avoid the double attack. Remember, fire is the default spell for counterattacks and it weighs down your speed by 3. Surround the zombie dragon, have Jenny heal the lowest HP unit, and let Celica attack with Angel. At any rate, Celica should only need 2 applications of Angel to kill it. Angel has its power drastically increased against the undead. Also, don't forget to use the forest towel for your fragile units. Bring down the undead dragon and claim the holy ring. The holy ring restores 5 HP each turn, useful for your frontline or for Jenny who needs help to cast her heal spells. Step into the shrine, beat down the undead, and inspect the lion statues. Skill and HP, not that impressive. However, remember at the port town, someone mentioned a rare sword in the sea shrine. I don't see a sword anywhere, but there is a path behind the Miller shrine. Walk in, and we're thrown into a second battle. Those little bats, those are gargoyles. Initially they don't seem dangerous, however, look, they're like mini dragon zombies, except they're faster. Faster than my entire party except Saber maybe. They're also quite tanky with 7 defenses across both magic and physical, and to top it off, 7 move. Please, take caution around them. It only takes 2 of them to gang up on Jenny and kill her. If you have to, send her and anyone else in danger to the back and form a wall around them. Take advantage of any angel spell if need be, you might need it. I keep mentioning enemies with high movement will beeline for your fragile units and healers. Enemies in Gaiden, when they have multiple targets to choose, will likely choose based on A. Whom they can kill the fastest, B. Whom they will take the least damage from, and C. If they can't kill anyone, who they could do the most damage to. They also take notes of whoever they attack can counter them, so archers will often never put themselves in harm's way. Clerics such as Jenny and Silk not only deal very little damage with Nosferatu, they also have pitiful HP and defense, making them easy prey for enemies. After that skirmish, continue along the path, open up the chest to find the Holy Sword. The Holy Sword deals increased damage to the undead and it heals 5 HP each turn. Nice. Walk out the shrine, ingest your boosts, and head out to the port town. Here we meet Paula and Katria. Hey, wait a minute. From Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light? They even mention Arcanea. However, there's one missing, Est, their sister. Katria mentions Est was kidnapped by pirates. Dang, more pirate trouble. We can deal with that later. Proceed to Sophia Castle and we meet Sir Myson? Grandfather? Are Alm and Celica siblings? Walk up the stairs and talk to Alm. A heartfelt reunion between Celica and Alm, childhood best friends. After reminiscing the old days, Celica asks Alm if this conflict between Sophia and Regel can be resolved with peace. Alm simply says, no. He will liberate Sophia from Regel. Celica chastises Alm for letting the heroism get to his head, lets him know she's leaving for Mila Temple, and the chapter ends, with Alm saying he will find the Sophian Warrior Princess. Act 2 has been completed. Good job. Hello, I hope you're comfy once again, because Act 3 is about to change how you view this game. For better or for worse. Once you start Act 3, there is no turning back. I mean that metaphorically, of course, but this is the midpoint of our expedition, so I hope you're enjoying yourself. Move on from the castle rooftop, and an earthquake blocks the path to Mila's temple. The rest of Fire Emblem Gaiden's story follows 2 separate stories of Alm and Celica. Both want to end the war and restore the land of Sophia. Alm will do it through conquest and liberation, Celica through peace and the earth goddess Mila. Let's start with Celica's route first. Move Celica over to the bandit that just spawned and start the first map of Act 3. Our forces are split up, but we have the assistance of Paula and Katria. The 2 sisters can hold their own and are more than capable of destroying the West group. However, in doing so, they'll steal your precious experience points, so if I were you, you should send your units to help them and get your own guys stronger. The southern group is led by Gaha, for who all intents and purposes is a reskin of the last pirate boss we fought, Daha. Same stats, so this shouldn't be too hard. Once again, I use Mei as a mage tank to reliably deal good damage to everyone, as a leather shield gives her good survivability. Use her ranged fighters to help her out and keep Jenny out of range of the archer, until he's taken out. Clean up the rest of the bandits and this battle should end fairly quickly. I do want to preface going forward, I will often turn off animations for battle scenes as they can take quite a while and, especially when enemy counts reach the 30s, battles can drag on for about an hour. Turning off animations can speed up the process, especially if you're busy or have school the next day. I'll keep them on for important moments and new animations I want to show off. Heading back to the village, we can recruit Katria and Paula as we share a common goal in reaching the Mila Temple. They still need to rescue their sister, Est, so we set out to Gisa's fortress. Katria lets us in on a secret. Apparently, if the 3 sisters surround an enemy, they can execute a special attack. Interesting info, but we'll have to wait until we find Est. Head up to the graveyard and we encounter a group of the undead. Nothing special here, beat them and move on. For this game, whenever you pass by a graveyard, you will always have to fight a monster group. This can get quite annoying when you're just trying to traverse the world map, but you can also use it as an opportunity to grind your party. If your team is falling behind, you recruit a new member, or you just need some extra oomph to beat a new challenge, these graveyard battles can help you out. However, if you just want to get by, at best, it's an inconvenience, and at worst, it's just annoying. From here, you have 3 options. Head north to Miller Temple, east to Geese's Fortress, or west to the village. Let's head west to the village first. In the village, we can meet our first trader. Traders can send items to the other party. If we need to, for example, send a sword to Alm's group, the trader can do that, and vice versa. To the far off corner, a man named Atlas wants to rescue his siblings from Geese, and so we recruit him to our ranks. Awesome. One resident warns us that Geese abducted all the children as slaves, while the other speaks of a shrine that can revive the dead, but has dragons that can devour you? That's some scary stuff. I think we're finished with our business here. Out we go. Our second graveyard battle may just look like a bunch of zombies, but upon close inspection, there are actually some special zombies called mummies. Mummies have the exact same stats, but with one exception. Upon defeat, they drop tons of experience points. If your character is low enough, they can even drop 100 EXP, a full level up. For how annoying graveyards can get, anyone can appreciate a free mummy battle. Problem is, they are quite rare, so don't expect to see them often. Atlas here is a level 10 villager. Just like Gray, he's prime and ready to promote. He has tons of power and HP and a whole lot of nothing else. He's slow, inaccurate, and kind of frail, but we can fix that. We can also quickly check out Catra and Pala. Both are Pegasus Knights just like Claire, but are much better. Pala has a lot of health and strength and comes with a javelin, a throwing spear that can attack at 1 to 2 range. The javelin lets you fight units safely without chance of retaliation if they also lack range. Catra is fairer than her sister and a little weaker, but is much faster and has higher magic defense, making her perfect for mage combat. Heading north, there is a shrine we can visit to promote Atlas and have him ready to fight. First, we must take on this Myrmidon boss. Myrmidons are promoted mercenaries, stronger, faster, and a lot more tanky. We can do this though, I believe in our squad. Looking at the enemy lineup, we got some new faces. That long hair girl that looks like May? That's not a mage. That's a witch. What can witches do? Come on, I'll show you. Advance your squad forward and literally on turn 1, the witch teleports and attacks Catria. Yes, witches are mages that have a chance to teleport to any tile on the map, move, and attack someone. Yes, if they want, they can flank your army and go for your weakest member. Fortunately, when a witch teleports, they seem to have a behavior that they won't go for the obvious kill, most of the time. In this case, the witch could have just went for Valbo, whom she could probably double and kill in 1 round, but she went for Catria instead. Do not, however, think of witches as pushovers. They are strong, fast, and will swarm your army when they feel like it. Seriously, witches have the potential to be the most dangerous enemy, just based on their unpredictability and capability to flank whomever they please. Use your flyers to take her out and bait in the mercenaries and surround them as you please, leaving the boss for last. This is Bly? Blee? I don't know, never heard of your name a child Bly, but who am I to judge? Bly has the Dark Sword, giving a respectable 24 power. He is freakishly strong, but it's also a very heavy sword. 9 speed means you can pull anyone with 10 speed and 25 health and they can safely bait him in. Catria seems perfect for the job. After we draw him in, it's just a matter of safely chipping him at range and going in for the kill when the time is right. If your mate has aura by now, this is the perfect chance to use it. While very heavy and a little inaccurate, dropping an aura on your enemy can do upwards to 25 damage. Perfect for when you know you can't cast fire twice due to the enemy's speed. Taking on Bly drops the Dark Sword. Now, despite the allure of the Dark Sword, it has a random chance to attack the owner of the sword. If you were to do 25 damage to your opponent, the sword could randomly backfire and do 25 damage to you instead. Apparently there is a class that can negate the effects of backfire, however, I haven't tested it myself. If you do want to try it out yourself, stick around and I'll tell you which class can use the sword without any drawback. Head to the left and enter the Dragon Temple. Before you proceed ahead, I need to tell you something. When you enter dungeons and certain map battles, you're only allowed to bring 10 units. The 10 you bring are the first 10 units that appear when you open the unit selection menu. This is why in the coming battle, you won't see Atlas. Don't worry, for map battles, all your units could join in on the fun. Most of the time. Walk forward and yep, the rumors were true. There they are. 3 very hungry zombie dragons. Yeah, this is gonna get very hairy very fast. I think it's time to use a new toy we required. Jenny can cast the Illusion spell. Illusion summons mist soldiers that fight independently on your behalf. They can't get any XP, but are perfect for diversions and shields, as they are very weak and enemies love to attack weak targets. If you have it, use it, and when the dragon's distracted, you can surround them 2 at a time, and use Celica with the Angel spell to take out the isolated one. If it doesn't die, finish him off with your remaining units. Remember, these guys are quite tanky. Repeat this process for the other 2, and in no time you can kill all 3 dragons without losing anyone. At the Miller Shrine, we can promote Atlas to whatever we want. I think Atlas's only good class is Mercenary. Remember, he's all power and HP and really nothing else. Also, his growths are really shaky, so don't expect him to gain anything other than HP and power. Mercenary gives him the speed he needs to be a reliable fighter. Check out anyone else that can promote, such as Saber, and check out the Lion Shrines to confirm if the rumors were true. It turns out, we can revive anyone we want. However, no one on our squad has died, so we can come back later if need be. Exit the temple, and head to the graveyard for your 3rd battle. Nothing to see here, just more of the undead. Let's take on the fight to Geese. First, we have to take out his henchman Wolf. Wolf is a sniper, a stronger archer pretty much. Wolf is stationed in the Desert Fortress, probably the most infamous map of all of Fire Emblem Gaiden. Desert Fortress is, as its name implies, it's a desert with a fortress, or a fortress with a desert. Desert tiles are interesting. They hinder your movement so much, mages can cross 2 tiles at a time, and everyone else not on a Pegasus can cross 1 tile at a time. This map often pops up in criticisms of the game, and if I can be honest, I don't blame them all that much. I will be the first to say this map gives deserts a bad name. On one hand, I do love the idea of the map. The enemy has a major vantage position, hiding away in a fortress with a ton of archers, ready to shoot down any intruders with their superior range, especially Wolf, who has the powerful steel bow with 5 range. It really sells the idea that our group is at a major disadvantage, and trying to stage an offense is going to be a major hurdle. It's realistic and it makes sense. Why would the enemy meet us in the open when they have the high ground? It really sells the fantasy of storming the enemy and them using tactics to defend themselves from our attack. On the other hand, the player experience suffers. A lot. The speed of getting to Wolf's position takes forever, and I actually had 2 game overs. I kept miscalculating his range and he would simply walk out and snipe Celica or Jenny. Sadly, he doubles most of your army and it only takes 1 bad round for him to clean out a KO. My strategy for Wolf is to force him to leave the fortress by using Atlas or Saber, whom have high HP as bait. Then when he is close enough, ambush him and slay him in 1 round. Remember, you don't want him to turn tail back to the heal tile and prolong the fight. I should also mention, and this is really important, bow weapons with the name such as iron or steel do triple damage to anything with wings. That includes dragons, gargoyles, and your own Pegasus Knights. Hence why you don't bait with Catcher or Pala unless you plan on boosting their defense with a leather shield. Once Wolf is gone, the rest of the map is very simple. The archers are pushovers without their boss. Okay, enough meta commentary. Let's enter the fortress and get some treasure. Give Leo the steel bow Wolf dropped and free this man from his cell. This is Jesse, a sword for hire that got captured by Geese while trying to save Est. He bluntly informed Celica that defeating Geese is impossible. With his 2 captains Sonya and Dean lying around, victory is grim. Despite this, he does have intel on the 2 captains. Apparently their loyalty to Geese is shaky, and only obey out of fear of fighting the other. If we can take out one of the captains, the other will swear off their loyalty and flee. That works for us. They're on the way anyways. Loot the chest to find a steel lance that we give to Catcher to boost her power. By the way, The Angel Ring catcher it came with restores 5 HP each turn, and any stats you gain through level up are doubled. A cool trick you can do is, if someone is about to level up, just simply trade them the Angel Ring and watch their stats soar through the roof. Leave the fortress with our new ally Jessie, and now we must make a decision. On Jessie's word, the one we don't attack may become our ally. Fighting Dean looks super tough. A bunch of Myrmidons may prove tough for our party. Sonya in a group of witches looks much more manageable. Let's take the fight to Sonya. Witches in groups are very deadly, but they're also great forms of training and experience. Compared to other units, they give substantially more EXP, at the cost of being very deadly to engage. While the fight with the witches starts off great, it quickly devolves into disaster when Valbo, in his innocence, gets ganged up on and dies. Normally I would be more distraught about this, but remember, we can bring him back from the dead. Personally, I don't really like this, using units as sacrifices, but with the nature of these witches and having the capability to nuke whomever they want, I'm actually very lucky only Valbo had to kick the bucket. Focus fire on the witches, and hopefully they don't become smart and take out your other units. Use Jenny every turn to heal, and if you must, trade around your rings for additional healing each turn. Sonya herself isn't too threatening, but she has the Excalibur spell, a very light spell with high critical hit ratio. If memory serves, she has about a 1 in 3 chance to perform a critical hit and triple her damage. If you have units with high luck to mitigate that chance, or high magic defense, send them to fight her. Sadly, in my party, nobody has the right parameters to survive Sonya if she gets lucky in crits. Actually, I take it back, she is very threatening when your party is untrained. I just had to rely on my own luck and pray she doesn't crit, or I get a lucky dodge. If you want to be crazy, Jenny without any level ups can survive 1 crit from Sonya and a regular Excalibur, but not 2 Excalibur criticals. Each cast of the spell drains 3 HP, so every time Jenny fights Sonya, if she lives, Sonya will lose 6 HP. Do this enough times and you can drain her HP enough to go in for a KO. Leo or any archer can attack out of her range, but she has the elusive Steel Shield giving her 11 defense. And with her 14 magic defense, Thunder, despite outranging Excalibur, will not do much. Once you clear Sonya and her witch gang, Dean will notice this and flee into Geese's citadel. Save your game and prepare for the fight of your life. Don't forget to equip the Steel Shield from Sonya, you'll need it. If this feels too threatening, you can retreat after a few turns and go train up your party. One look at Geese and you can see why all fear him. This is a Dread Fighter, also known as a Slayer. Dread Fighters are all around deadly fighters. 15 magic defense, your spells will just bounce off of him. Except probably an aura from May. 18 speed, and you can tell he's going to be very dodgy and impossible to double attack. 15 power is respectable, but with his 36 HP, 11 defense, and 7 movement, this will be your hardest fight yet. Psych yourself up, and let's tackle one problem at a time. Starting with the closest enemies, send 1 or 2 people to intercept the Myrmidon down at the southern corner. Meanwhile, utilize your archer and 2 Pegasus Knights to take out the sniper and arcanist in the middle room. Don't forget to be aggressive. The sniper doesn't have a named bow, so your flyers are safe from triple damage. Just don't leave them too low, and block the pink heel tile if you must. Meanwhile, some of Geese's men will get aggressive and start filing in the red corridor. Meet them at the desert and pick them off one by one, with someone tanky at the helm with the shield. While that is happening, your forces will likely go down the right hallway, so send your archer and flyers to pick off the wizard and sniper over that wall, just to make things easier for what comes next. Likely by now, that shaman has started producing bone walkers and they're likely making their way down the hall. Meet them and slowly march your way forward while taking them out. Now, here comes the hard part. You need to send someone to lure out Geese. Count 7 tiles exactly and don't mess this math up. Send someone there and Geese should take the bait. Remember, he has 15 power and will double attack, so you are going to need 3 people minimum to surround him who can live at least 1 round of combat. Unfortunately, Geese does have a decent chance to critically hit you, but there isn't much you can do at this point. For my party, I had a promoted Saber, a Bowie with the Steel Shield, and eventually Atlas with the Leather Shield. Bowie has a deceptively high defense for a mage, and with the Steel Shield which gives 5 defense, he becomes a very respectable tank. Really, the Steel Shield can patch anyone's defense, so don't be too picky with who you choose. If your Valbo is still alive, his high HP is perfect for this role. With all that going on, the Myrmidon will eventually get aggroed and join the fight. At the same time, the Cantor is spawning Bone Walkers and that Wizard is casting Fortify. Fortify is a global heal that heals every combatant on your side. It is costly, so the Wizard is parked safely on a heal tile. We have to shut that Wizard down if you want to make meaningful progress with Geese. If you have flyers in range of him, perhaps on the side of the wall, the Wizard will get bored and chase down your flyer. The skeletons will join him, but that's okay. We just need him off the tile so he can't infinitely heal everyone. If you can, take him out or at the least wound him enough so he can't cast Fortify anymore. Hang in there with your fight with Geese. There will be lots of dodges, criticals, and frustration. But I promise, if you can stay vigilant and patient, Geese will go down. My fight took me several turns, and I was actually beginning to lose ground with the Bone Walkers closing in and whatnot. But eventually, I brought the Tyrant down and was able to clean up the rest of the map. Once all that is taken care of, walk in deeper to find many things of interest. First is a priestess from the Temple of Mila. She ended up here somehow, and now by freeing her, she can continue her duties, whatever she was doing. Celica then reveals to her, really us the player, that she is indeed the Princess of Sophia and the daughter of the late King and Queen. The girl recognizes Lady Aunties, that's her real name, and bestows her the diadem from her mother, which proves her royalty. By doing this, Celica promotes to the royal class, which I don't think anything changed. Her portrait has a crown now, which is neat. To the left is Est. In her excitement of seeing her sister, she joins our party. Awesome. And to the right is Dean. He thanks us for taking out Geese and joins us as thanks. I feel like we're missing Atlas's siblings. Are they dead? Did they get rescued off screen? We're never really told this, which is unfortunate. Take a trip to the graveyard, and here we will fight our very first map spawn. Certain locations on the world map will spawn units that can move around, as long as their commander is alive. Like dungeons, only the first 10 units in our list can join the fight. After that easy fight, we take a trip back to the Dragon Temple, revive Valvo, and promote some of our guys. Welcome back, dude. After that grueling fight with Geese, a couple of our guys are ready for promotion. Kamui, Leo, and Jesse all accept their promotions, and we head back out to face off against the final boss of Act 3 at Mila's Temple. Before we go ahead, let's quickly look at our two new members. S starts out really weak, but she has really great chances to get multiple stats when she levels up, not to mention some of the highest magic defense. Wizards will struggle to hurt her. Dean is just very strong, and he comes with a hero sword, a blade with good might, and a high critical hit rate. Okay, Mila's Temple. I'll be honest, for a final map, this map is very easy. The map is all wizards and a random sniper and a shaman. This will actually be a good opportunity to train up our flyers, especially Est, who only takes 1 damage from the wizard's Dora. To entertain you guys, I'll show off a super secret move. You ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Da-da-na-na-na-na-na. Triangle attack. Yes, by surrounding an enemy with the Pegasus Sister trio, you can perform a triangle attack. Triangle attacks can hilariously miss, but are always guaranteed a critical, and adds 15 power to the attack. Yep, you heard me. If there's a boss you want taken out, training the 3 sisters is a very much a viable strategy. Heck, you can just train up 2 of them, and have S the 3rd just be there to enable the attack. It is very potent, and when used effectively, is great. Anyways, this map is easy. The sisters can do all the heavy lifting, especially with the Angel Ring, which also gives 40 luck. 40 luck equals 40 free magical void, so use that to your advantage. Head into the temple, and we find out some bad news. First off, Mila is dead. Well, sealed technically, but she might as well be dead. Rudolph, the Emperor Regel, sealed her away. And second, we cannot proceed any further for any answers unless the gate is lifted. Problem is, both sides must be released. We cannot release the other side from here, so all we can do is wait. Wait until another hero lifts the gate. Let's pick off where we left off with Last time we liberated Sophia Castle from Slade and Dole's clutches. Now we are marching forward into Rigel territory. Let's dive right into our first battle. Our first engagement opens up with a rather encouraging speech from Alm. Likely boosted with morale after taking out Slade, he rallies his allies to scatter the enemy and leave none standing. It's enough to send shivers down your spine. I'd open up this map with sending Clive with the Night Killer down to the left to intercept the Cavaliers. However, I get too greedy with this solo mission and I have him attack the Wizard. Clive, with his 1 resistance and low-ish skill, misses an important hit on the Wizard, and I know the Wizard's gonna kill Clive, so without wasting any time, I just reset the map. Okay, that was horrible. Let's backtrack and get him promoted. I make a quick trip down to the old headquarters and promote Clive and Cliff, who met the requirements during the skirmish with the zombies. With our new Paladin and Myrmidon, Clive now has enough defense to take only 1 damage from the other Cavaliers, and has enough HP to take more than 2 Doras from Wizards. Now this map becomes significantly easier, and I apply the same tactics as usual: block off escape points, send Clive off to the left with the Horse Slayer to solo the Horse group, and once the Witch puts herself in our range, we cleanly take her out and move on to the next map. The next map features all enemy wizards and a bunch of force tiles. Remember, force tiles only increase dodge from physical attacks, so they will not help you in the skirmish. Instead, the enemy will try to take advantage of them, so be sure not to let too many wizards occupy these tiles. If you can remember this, you will do just fine against the wizards. Force, Claire, and Cliff have high magic defense to let them take on the wizards comfortably, so they honestly don't pose any threat as long as they're not grouped up. Battle 3 features only 3 paladins. Now, this may sound simple, but do not underestimate the movement they can cover. It's not their raw stats that are dangerous, but rather their capability to pick off any of your weaker team members. My advice? Immediately put Silk and Python in a forest. Ideally, everyone should be in forest, but they are your main priority. Unless your Python is capable, they will gang up on him and take him out. To be honest, any of your untrained units are at risk of getting ganged up, if left isolated and not on a forest. If need be, form defensive walls around your frailer units and pick off the paladins one by one. Your Horse Slayer will be invaluable here. Taking our detour to Grovetown, we can recruit Ryuto, who wants to save his sister from the clutches of Tatara, who rules over the Rigel Sluice. Talk to one of the townspeople, and they'll also inform us that one of the members of the Liberation Army is set to be executed soon. We should hurry to save her. We also accept a side quest to save a little girl from a group of gargoyles over at the local shrine, as well as learn some more information about the Rigel Sluice. Apparently, Rigel's forces have occupied the gate for some time and have kept the water gate shut. If it is not lifted soon, Sophia will flood, so we better take care of that on our way to rescuing Ryuto's sister. Just as we leave town, a nasty paladin spawns from Dozer's fort, and now we must contend with both Dozer and the paladin. If you get to the middle cross point and the paladin hasn't spawned yet, you can actually go straight to Dozer's keep and take him on without Ryuto. That will save you the hassle of fighting 2 armies at once. You can also go back and recruit Ryuto after. However, I like a little challenge, so let's get a move on, shall we? Inside the fortress, the mighty Dozer, or Cowardly depending on your persuasion, schedules the execution early, presumably as a warning and declaration of war on us. This is Matilda, a paladin and the love interest of Clive. She has great stats all around and is more than capable of defending herself. Still, we shouldn't take too long in rescuing her, so let's not waste any time. Our main enemy here is Dozer. Dozer is a Baron, and Barons are all might and defense. As the final evolution of the Knight class, they boast formidable stats. With 22 power, 18 defense, and 40 HP, you'd be damned if you tried engaging him in physical combat. We're going to need strong magic to get by, and with the 7 magic defense, we can't get too cocky with our spells. As for our team, this is Ryuto, the new mage of our ranks. Unlike Robin and Gray, Ryuto was born to be a mage, and he comes with good power and the Excalibur spell. Remember the deadly spell Sonya had when we fought her on Celica's route. Our army is a little split up, so it will take a bit to gain our bearings. I send Robin over with the leather shield to create a choke point against the Cavaliers, while I send Claire, Alm, and Python over to that wizard in the corner. He has fortified that annoying global heal spell, so we can't let him live too long. I give Claire the Steel Lance as I feel Force and Lucas won't be doing much fighting in this map, if any. Eventually, once the main group gathers, I have Cliff and Clive alternate between fighting the Cavaliers while the mages provide ranged backup, until the main force is taken out and we advance forward to take on Dozer. Meanwhile, the Shaman is slowly gathering zombies to fight Matilda, however they hardly pose a threat to her. Still, time is of the essence, with the archers also trying to shoot her down. Dozer in all his boast and might engages with Cliff and hilariously misses, while Cliff gets some nice chip damage on Dozer. Side note, I think the Baron design looks amazing for the NES, and Dozer's color scheme really adds to the visual flair of the class. Anyways, Ryuto provides some artillery fire and Cliff finishes him off with the Thundersword. In his dying words, Dozer curses Mycin and laments on why Rudolph is handing Sophia over to his son. Rudolph has a son? I suppose we'll have to meet him on the battlefield eventually. After Dozer is taken out, the rest of the map becomes easy pickings. I advance away to the Shaman, remember to take care of that wizard in the corner, and soon enough, you'll be done. Compared to fighting geese, this is a much needed breath of fresh air. Rescue Matilda, claim the Regal Sword, and step out into the next skirmish. The Regal Sword is exclusive to Alm, and it gives him the much needed power boost to take on the upcoming enemies. This battle features lots of Cavaliers and a few Paladins. Some of the Cavs are also level 5, which actually makes them quite threatening to face up against. Your party is somewhat split, so I would try and gather them, as you don't want your weaker units to get ganked and taken out. Keep an eye on the horse's movement, and if need be, take the battle to the forest and give yourself an advantage. I almost had a couple close calls here, as Python got a little too close to the action, and I had some unlucky misses. Keep your wits about you, and you shouldn't have too much problems with this battle. Once again, Horse Slayer, use it. The map spawn paladin engages with us and dies in 2 turns. Nice. Let's head to the shrine and rescue that little girl. Oh boy, we have ourselves a bloodfest. All gargoyles, my strategy, keep Silk on the back. I know this seems to be a common theme, but body block and form a shield around your Fairly units. I also accidentally brought Claire along, who is in no shape to be fighting these guys, so be very careful. Aside from that, clear out the gargoyles, rescue the little girl, and head in deeper to find an EXP and HP shrine. The EXP shrine sadly doesn't give a free level up, instead it just boosts you to 99 experience points. Bummer, but promote anyone who needs it? For me, it was my 2 knights and Python. Head back to Grovetown to claim the crest reward for finding the little girl, and we were bestowed upon the Holy Lance. The Holy Lance does triple damage to the undead and heals 5 HP each turn. I guess I should clarify 2 things. 1, all holy weapons heal 5 HP, and 2, any weapon that deals effective damage has their damage tripled for the most part. Okay, we're almost at the finish line. Engage with Gazelle, the Bow Knight, and get your forces ready. Bow Knights are the final tier of archers and have a unique quirk. Unlike archers and snipers who need a named bow to fight at 5 range, Bow Knights can always fight at 5 range. I find this out the hard way, and I put Grey in his range, who, combined with the sniper, annihilates Grey to the afterlife. While I could restart, I recognize the hubris of my mistake and I choose to press on. If need be, I can always revive Grey on Celica's side. Other than my big blunder, this map isn't too much to talk about. If I can say something, the maps of Act 3 for Alm are somewhat underwhelming and don't really hold a candle to the maps of Act 1, and definitely not Celica's route. So far, Celica's map have been mostly a hit in terms of atmosphere and just selling the idea of fighting enemies on a combat field. Celica's map also have a good balance of difficulty and fun. With how much blood, sweat, and tears I've poured into Geese's fortress, it was a fun experience taking down a Dreadfire who greatly eclipsed my army. Gazelle may be a threat with his high movement and amazing area control, but he isn't near the powerhouse of Geese. Geese also preps himself with a massive army to back him up. Dozer was fun, but Dozer himself didn't get a single hit and died only to Cliff and Ryuto. Geese required a combined effort of 7 guys to take him down. Don't be discouraged, I promise, it gets better from here on out. For the next map, some wizards immediately engage us, but Cliff and Python make short work of them. Python's promotion really saved him, giving him the speed he needs to double wizards. Press on further, and this is strange. We're at the Regale Sluice, but isn't there supposed to be a wizard named Tartara here? Where's Ryuto's sister? All I see are 2 paladins and a bow knight? I honestly don't know what's going on, but alas, we must fight. 3 guys on a horse are simple enough to take down, but what comes next, I couldn't even predict. As if to mock me for making fun of this map, Tartara spawns from Regale Sluice and takes on the offensive against us. This is actually so crazy and has actually never happened to me. A boss has never spawned in and tried to take back their home base. While I would love this challenge, not only do I only have 10 units, the worst possible units are at the forefront of the assault. I actually have nowhere to run. If Matilda or Cliff were close, I wouldn't be worried. But Python, Force, and Clive are trapped, and everyone else is too far to provide backup. Thankfully, we are able to retreat before it gets ugly, and we retry the fight with all our forces at the gate entrance. Okay, proper introductions. This is Ryuto's sister, Dayut. Dayut, while appears as a witch, is only a temporary witch. If we can defeat Tartara, she will be free from a spell. Take care not to kill her, as killing her will make her unrecruitable. She has great stats too, so please be careful. Tartara is this ugly, deformed looking wizard who can cast Death. No, thankfully the spell doesn't outright kill you, but when you see how much damage it can do, you'll see why it's called Death. Alright, let's save Dayut. Advance your forces forward and you'll find this is a much more manageable with all of your units at your disposal. Also, having the first attack is so crucial as well. Be sure to keep note of your failure units and take care not to accidentally kill Dayut or get ambushed by Tartara. Even Cliff, with his high magic defense, takes 19 damage from his death spell. Yikes. Thankfully, Python can finish him off, and with that, Dayut is free from the spell and leaves the battlefield. Dayut apologizes for the inconvenience she has caused and joins our party. Talk to the gatekeeper, and he notes that the Millet Temple gate has been lifted, so he can lift up the Regale Sluice. With that, Sophia is safe from the flood, and Act 3 ends, with both parties determined to press on ahead to their goal. Celica seeks answers on Milla being sealed, and Alm will finish his conquest and fight Rudolph at his castle. Despite their separate goals, our heroes' paths may cross sooner than they think. Act 4. Dismal Nation. Dismal means depressing or moody. Not sure how that applies here, but we have another choice presented here. We can continue with Alm, or switch back to Celica. I should note, at any time you can switch between the 2 parties, but I feel it's more fitting to see one hero's path till the end. Since we started with Celica last time, let's continue our story with Alm. Advance forward and we are thrown straight into a rather difficult battle. We got a couple new faces. As usual, introductions are in order. Dayut has joined us. Sadly, she is not a witch, so no infinite teleportation. But for a mage, she has amazing offensive stats. Her HP and defense are dog water, but her power and speed more than make up for it. She also comes with the prayer ring. Like all rings, it restores 5 HP, but it has an additional effect. If your HP is less than half, all of your hits become critical. That's a crazy effect, but it's kinda hard to use. As 1, the HP restoration takes you out of the buff's range, and 2, you ideally don't want to have less than half HP, unless you're a super tank, as that puts you in range of death's door. Our boss is Shizaz, the Gold Knight. From this point on, all the bosses will be at their final tier, and the Gold Knight is the apex of the Cavalier line. 12 speed, 18 power, 13 defense, and 40 HP. You should be a little afraid of combat with him. He is also backed up by paladins, knights, snipers, and a fortified wizard in the center. From this point on, no more tier 1 enemies will be present, so prepare yourself, slap your face, fix your posture, and let's get on with this fight. With enemy types mixing in groups, we'll need to be a little more strategic in our approach. Your characters on the left should reunite with the right group to increase your firepower. Splitting up your forces is not recommended unless you have 2 very strong captains that can lead each group. While I do have Matilda and Cliff, I feel they are better together, so I opt to make one giant death bowl. make sure to keep your unit's health topped off and slowly advance further while keeping note of enemy ranges and movement. I did not do this. Think of my experience as an epitaph for my incompetence, because a sniper creeps up and kills Silk in one round. This is actually going to affect me a lot. Silk was my only healer, and while I could reset, I've come too far and I need to press on. I think with good use of my rings and battle tactics, I could figure out the rest of the journey without a healer. Once you comfortably deal with the initial group, prepare your army to advance further and take care to not fight Shizas carelessly. I opt to have Ryuto on the pink tile with Python behind him. Both can provide support from afar. Clive, Alm, and Forrest take on the front line, guarding Dayu and Robin. Now, that Gold Knight sprite is beautiful. The animation for it is cool too. The color palette for Shizas is kinda odd, but the overall sprite composition is great. Upon closer inspection, it turns out Shizas himself isn't actually too threatening, especially since you have Forrest to give yourself extra dodge. Thankfully, horse units are awful at crossing tiles with terrain on them, and Forests are no exception. At best, they can move 2 tiles at a time, so you don't have to worry about them flanking your range units. Keep up the pressure on Shizas and his gang, and soon enough, you have won your first map of Act 4. Now, before you continue any further, if you are not comfortable with Shizas, it's only going to get worse from here. Spells that can kill you in one hit, open area combat with Dread Fighters, tight corridors with Bone Knights. I know I kinda spoiled what lies ahead, but I did this because I care about you. I want you to enjoy Gaiden and have a great time, like I did. The last thing I'd want for you is to walk away with this sour experience. I would go back to the Gargoyle Shrine and train your army there. I'm serious. Normally, I don't advocate for grinding, but Fire Emblem Gaiden gives you the option, and if you need to, take advantage of this opportunity. If you feel daring, the shrine to the right has some interesting spots to grind as well, but you have to endure 2 more battles. Seriously, take this time to train up your squad if need be. I'd also like to caution, take this chance to promote and train Celica's group as well. It definitely doesn't get easier for her group either, especially the Pegasus sisters. They promote at level 12, so if you can help it, get at least one of them to promote. I made the mistake of not doing that, and you'll see why I paid dearly for that later. You can also just switch to Celica and do her route first if you want. Alright, hopefully you went back and trained your units. I did not, so if you still are hesitant, I'll show you how difficult this game can get without proper training. Me? I like a challenge, so it doesn't bother me as much as it should. Now, we have a branch in the road. On the left are 2 Gold Knight bosses. That looks awful. I don't even want to think about engaging them. Eventually we'll have to if we want to reach Regel Castle. So for now, let's take the right path and get some training in. Maybe by the time we're done, we'll be ready to fight the left side. If you haven't already, make sure to save in between maps. Battle 2 features Saizo, the Slayer accompanied by multiple Myrmidons and Witches. Unlike Geese's Fortress, Saizo prefers open field combat, which puts us in a bad position. Our party is considerably weaker than his, and we have no choke points to make use of. We're just going to have to tough it out and clear this as fast as possible. First things first, take out the northern group closest to you. Saizo and his posse are rapidly approaching, and with the 7 move, it'll only take him a few turns to close in on your army. Before this, wipe out the northern group so you'll have a much easier time dealing with Saizo. I got lucky with my unit placement, and Claire was the one isolated in the forest, so she was able to catch up with everyone right away. In hindsight, you could use Claire to distract Saizo's group and slow him down a little, but it's not necessary. Once Saizo closes in, I position Matilda on the nearby forest and have her be the bait for him. Once he attacks Matilda, I surround him with my bulkiest guys who can survive combat with him. Remember, Slayers have 18 speed, but only 15 power, so at this point in the game, it doesn't take too much to close him in. Force, Matilda, Robin with the leather shield, and Cliff got the job done. While they're on Saizo babysitting duty, I have the rest of my guys desperately take out the stragglers. While I do get some lucky hits in, I miscalculate the damage we're capable of, and Claire gets picked off by a stray Myrmidon. Remember when I said the enemy usually runs away when their health is low? This is that usually. Despite his low health, he saw fit to kill Claire. This actually sucks. I was actually beginning to warm up to Claire, and I was really appreciating her capability to kill witches without much trouble. In her dying words, Claire orders everyone to protect Alm. so I find it fitting to let Alm enact righteous justice and slay Claire's killer. It won't bring her back, but it's the least we could do. Saizo, trapped in a human cage, eventually falls, and we could move on to battle number 3. This fight doesn't have anything interesting. Initially, if you want to alleviate as much pain as possible from this map, take out the boss witch as soon as possible. As soon as she can, the boss starts spawning witches. I don't know how to explain this. Does she summon them from a little house and they're just waiting to be summoned? Or does she perform some weird mitosis and clone herself? I don't know, it's never really explained, so it's up to your imagination. I like to imagine veteran witches can just mitosis themselves and create an army if need be. Fantasy biology aside, the witches she spawns in function as usual and can do all the things they normally can do. They also give the boosted experience, so if you're feeling daring, you can let the boss witch continuously make witches and farm them for levels. Of course, you run the risk of them going AWOL and killing a valuable member. I'm also not sure if she eventually stops performing mitosis, but give it a shot if you want. In the middle of my fighting, I sent Robin to finish off a stray witch, and he misses his shot and the witch counters and kills him. This is getting out of hand, on my part that is. I keep getting careless, and my incompetence is starting to affect my army. As for letting her spawn infinite witches, I did it. I let her do her rituals for a bit, then went for the kill. Her name is Mara, by the way. She can use aura, so don't send anyone that can get one shot, because she will one shot them. Thankfully, aura weighs 1 billion pounds, so Mara won't be doubling anyone. The witches Mara summons start with fire, and they don't disappear when she dies, unlike shamans and their monsters. Depending on your perspective, you could be relieved or a little mad that you have to clean up the rest of them. As for me, a little EXP never hurt anyone. Afterwards, you're likely to be ambushed by the map spawn, but it shouldn't be any trouble. There is quite a bit of them, but I think you'll be fine. Just keep your head on your shoulders and retreat if need be. Now, I went on to the Fear Mountain Shrine because I like treasure, and I'm hoping to get Cliff promoted to a Dread Fighter, so let's head on inside. Act 4 dungeons have this creepy but eccentric soundtrack to accompany them, which I think fits the mood of Fear Mountain. As opposed to other dungeon battles, Fear Mountain has a much bigger map to work with, and some lava tiles. Or is it swamp? I don't know, it's red, but there's no way any human could survive in lava, so we'll go with the poison lake. Standing in the lake hurts you for 5 HP each turn, so equip rings or holy weapons to mitigate the poison damage. Here we have a bunch of weak wizards and a shaman. All I see is some experience for Cliff. Take this chance to train up your weaker guys, and I really do mean it, because the next map may just be the hardest map in all of Gaiden. Take it from me, make sure you have a Dread Fighter ready to fight. For me, Cliff was ready to take on the final evolution of mercenaries and his promotion to a Dread Fighter. This makes him a complete powerhouse. With his additional 50 magic defense, he is now a certified walking death machine who can't die. Oh, I should also explain, whenever a Slayer promotes, they automatically gain 50 magic defense, which makes them anti-mage units, so keep that in mind. The left line feeds speed, while the right one feeds luck. I don't think I have to tell you which stat you should take. I took all 3 speed statues and fed them to Cliff, Dayu, and Matilda. Take the path behind the Miller statue and you'll reach battle number 2. This group isn't too bad, but please do not be me and get too cocky. I'm ashamed to say this, but I accidentally got Ryuto killed. Slowly my party is thinning and I'm losing my focus in keeping everyone alive. But we must press on. War is ugly, and it's very difficult to not make mistakes on the battlefield. On a side note, the consequences of letting my only healer Silk fall in battle is catching up to me. Almost all of my mages whom use health as a resource are dead. After I avenge Ryuto, I walk on forward along the path to the next Miller Shrine, and lo and behold, these lion statues can revive people? I'll be honest, I forgot these statues can revive my army. Sadly, I only get 3 uses, so I can't bring everyone back. I opt to bring back Ryuto, Silk, and Robin. Cliff and Dayu will appreciate having their magical buddies to back them up. Okay, that's done. Are you ready? This is the point of Gaiden where the difficulty spikes to 100. This isn't for the faint of heart. Let's take on Nui Baba's Manor. A ghastly face looms from the shadows. It's the ruler of Terra Mountain, whom all fear. the legendary necromancer, Nui Baba. If that dark spell he traded his soul for leaves his lips just once, all living beings will surely have a quick death. Oh why do you go on this fearful mountain? What in the world could exist? Well, I'm here because I want to train and don't want to fight those two gold knights. That aside, I like to imagine Celica narrated this since we've never had a narrator up to this point. But whoever sent this was not wrong. If you're paying attention to the map preview, one look should spike terror into your heart. Dread fighters, bone knights, shaman, wizards with the death spell, witches, the whole top tier bad guy academy is here. Leading the pack is Nui Baba himself. The first thing you'll notice is his magic ring. The magic ring sets the default range of your spells to 5. Second is his Medusa spell. The narrator was not lying about Nui Baba's power. The Medusa spell will kill you. Exactly how? We'll just have to find out. Don't be scared. We've come this far. If you made it here, that means you're capable of victory. So don't falter, and let's do this together. First things first, remember when I said you need a Dread Fighter for this map? I wasn't joking. They will essentially be your lifeline. With the near immunity to magic, and especially Cliff, who has a good chance to level up his defense, he will be your Omni tank, spearheading the charge into Nui Baba's manor. Send them forward to hold the stairs. Everyone else should provide Cliff, or whomever you made a Dread Fighter, the backup they need. The witches may flank you, but that's alright. It's something we haven't dealt with before. The initial group shouldn't pose a problem for your Slayer. Once that's taken care of, quickly regroup yourself and get ready for round 2. This shaman has been periodically summoning gargoyles, so we need to kill him ASAP. Him and Nui Baba are the priority targets. For my strategy, I sent Cliff up the mountain to get into action as quickly as possible, while I had Python provide artillery fire. Unfortunately for my team, everyone else would be in too much danger if I sent them around the manor, so this was essentially a Cliff solo mission. I did send Matilda around just in case he did need any support. I send over Python who can fight Nui Baba from across the mountain and prepare him to snipe Nui Baba. Python misses the first shot and well, you can see for yourself the Medusa spell. He summons the head of a Gorgon and puts Python at literally 1 HP, yikes. Combined with the gargoyles flying in, anyone that is unlucky enough to get hit by Medusa will surely get cleaned up by a straight gargoyle. Killing Nui Baba took me a couple of tries because he would either shoot down or Python, and there's no way I can continue on without the main hero or my only sniper. In the process of Cliff leaving the main squad, the gargoyles reach past the front line and gank Ryuto. Unfortunately, he misses an important counterattack and he dies as a result. This is the second time Ryuto has died in this campaign. Only after a few attempts where Nui Baba missed Python and he in return got both his shots in, was I able to clear out Nui Baba. This was the attempt that Ryuto dies. At least the worst of it is over, since Medusa costs 8 HP to cast, with him wasting 6 HP trying to kill and Python. My sniper is able to get the victory we needed for this battle. He drops his magic ring, which will be very clutch for Dayut when the time comes. With Nui Baba down, Cliff can clean up the remnants of his army. The shaman unfortunately lived longer than he needed to, and one of his summons ambushed Silk and she dies as well. At this point, after losing Ryuto, I've come to accept that these hardest maps are going to cost me. Despite this setback, we press on and Matilda shows up to provide Cliff some support. We end this map on a low note, with 2 deaths in 1 sitting. I mean, we got some good training in for the guys who are still alive, but Silk and Ryuto, they didn't have to die like this, but we gotta press on. We head inside to find some prisoners. 3 of them are traitors, and the last one is a woman. She introduces herself as Tita and explains that her lover is a general of Regel's empire, Zeke. Zeke, her lover, does not believe in this war, but is forced to fight against his will when Nui Baba kidnaps Tita and uses her as a bargaining chip. Well, that's highly convenient for us, considering we were about to fight both Zeke and Jerome. With Tita on our side, Zeke should back down and betray his fellow general. Sure enough, if we head to the battle with Jerome and Zeke, back at the branching path, Zeke declares his assault on Jerome, and all of his units turn blue. We can't just sit back and watch, however. Jerome has formidable stats and will not go down easy. 46 HP with 15 defense, trying to dent him with anything but magic will be a task. Thankfully, we still have the Horse Slayer on Clive, so he could somewhat stand toe-to-toe with Jerome. His 20 attack will be a problem, I will say, Jerome's color scheme is amazing. The red and black really do complement the sprite, and it looks much better than Shiza's blue and purple glitch palette. Before I forget, this is Tita. She is a sister, the promoted class of the cleric. All sisters can cast Angel by default, so Tita has some firepower to defend herself. She also has Physic, which is a single target global heal. Think of a fortifier that affects one person. Still very useful and lets Tita support without having to step into danger. Walk into the Regel village and speak with Zeke, who thanks you for saving Tita and helping him fight Jerome. Sadly, he won't join you out of obligation to his king, Rudolph, who saved him and gave him a new life after washing ashore with amnesia. Before leaving, he stops Alm and asks about the birthmark on his arm, in which Zeke recalls that Rudolph commanded Zeke to serve the one with the cross-shaped birthmark on his right arm. That man will be the savior of Valencia. Zeke then joins our party and immediately becomes the juggernaut of our squad. Chatting with some townspeople reveals some lore behind Zeke, including how Tita nursed him back to health, and how Jerome used to terrorize the local villages before Zeke intervened. One civilian warns us of Dragon Mountain, where we'll surely be eaten. How do Regelians get around with the Mountain of Dragons? Regardless, we've fought many dragons before, so we'll be fine. Step out the northern entrance, move forward towards Castle Regel, and a landslide caves us in, and we're trapped. How convenient. Almost as if this is a sick, twisted sitcom, a dragon immediately crawls out, and now we must defend ourselves on Dragon Mountain. Adding to this comedy, not only can we not retreat, but Robert just happens to be the one isolated in the corner. Try as we might to stall, we cannot save him. Robin becomes the dragon's next meal, and we've officially lost everyone that we revived. With our squad thinned out, we managed to pull through with the rest of our party intact. That actually was kind of difficult. The dragons were all level 5 and above, and were sporting some pretty dangerous stats. Thankfully, we can now press forward to Rudolph's castle. Except we can't. We can either go back, or go forward. We're stuck here. There's nothing left to do. All we can do now is wait for someone to rescue us, if that ever happens. Let's check out what Celica's up to. Back on Celica's side, there's a few things we can do in Milla's temple. First, we can explore the underground part now that the water is drained out. Walk to the right to find Noma? Apparently he followed us here out of worry and he fell down. What a silly Billy. Since he's here, he kinda just joins us, like an adopted puppy. Well, if we check out Noma, he is quite strong and can hold his own in a pinch. His slow speed is a problem, but that shouldn't affect us too much. I mean, look at his spell list, he's jacked. As a sage, he automatically learns Recover, and he comes with 4 cool offensive spells. If you wander around a bit, you can actually walk into the darkness/walls of the basement. If you follow the path and feel the walls, you'll end up in the other room with the chest. Open the chest and grab yourself a mage ring, which is perfect for May. Step outside the northern entrance, and let's begin the first map of Celica's journey. Right away, we are greeted with 3 shamans, each with their own undead of choice, as well as a dread fighter and a couple other baddies. Sadly, we must cross the poison lake, which damages you 5 HP per turn. Take care to constantly heal up as you cross and engage the enemy. You should also have your 3 Pegasus sisters ready to intercept the gargoyles that the shaman summons, so take care with that. For the first map, this isn't too bad, just make sure not to get too surprised by the Slayer and you'll be okay. Once that is done, another dragon ambushes Alm and we are immediately thrown into a battle. No chance to save, right into the fray. The unfortunate gimmick is, each time a dragon spawns, their numbers increase and they level up, like roaches after a nuclear war. The second battle isn't too much harder. Make sure to make good use of Tita and let her get some kills with Angel. Because she's so low leveled, giving her a kill will sometimes give her close to, if not 100 EXP. Even just hitting one gives her 23 out of 100, so take note of that. Back on Celica's side, step into the zombie dragon graveyard and fight 3 dragons in an open field. Wow, how insensitive. You're used to these enemies by now, I don't have anything new to say. After that, another dragon steps in. This is our 3rd match with these guys and it's already tiring. One of them has hit level 9 and has nearly capped their health. At this point, you really want your squad to group up and form a wall to block off the dragons. Okay, back to Celica. This is Dolk. He is a shaman. Wanna know what he specializes in? Guess. No, really, guess. It's zombie dragons. Yeah, this guy summons dragon zombies. I don't think I need to explain how much this hurts the core of my soul. This is out of control. If you let him, he will summon 8 of them at once. I will emphasize, if you haven't already, please promote Pala, Catria, or Est. Their advanced class inflicts bonus damage to the undead. Don't be me and try to take them on without it. This is an ugly map. We need to cross this huge poison swamp and reach the fortress where Dolk resides. As I mentioned before, he will summon necro dragons every so often. If you get lucky, you can go turns without summoning. Sometimes he'll summon 1, and some days he'll conjure up 8 of them. If you don't have any Falco Knights, expect to press the reset button. A lot. The best way to tackle this map is to send your flyers to intercept dragons, while the rest of your army slowly trudges through the swamp. It's going to be ugly, and it's going to be long, and it's going to be smelly. I've had to reset a lot of times, not only because of the dragons, but fighting Dolk himself is a task as well. He has the death spell, and every time I reach Dolk or Pala or Catria, they're too worn out to even survive one hit. This map was tough for me, with the dragons trapping me in the lake, the snipers shooting my squad down. It was only a matter of time before they managed to break me down, mentally. On my best attempt, Catria, my star soldier, secured the victory finally, eliminating the rest of the necro dragons. Catria, I will never forget what you did for my team, and your death will not be in vain. Save your game, and let's head inside Dolk's fortress. I guess the dragons are on sabbatical and giving Alm a break. Stand on the dark blue colored tile to fall down to a new area. This is the Lost Woods. What is this, Legend of Zelda? Actually, this game predates A Link to the Past, so I guess this joke doesn't really work. The Lost Woods is a puzzle dungeon, where each exit can either lead to the right path, or back where you came from. The strategy guide should come with the map for the Lost Woods, but if you don't have one, ask your friends for their map, or even look one up on the internet. You can also try and follow along with me, but I also got lost, so that might not be too helpful. Of course, trial and error is fine as well, but are you brave enough to wander these woods without a map? After all, you may find treasure, or you may be unlucky and stumble upon a group of misfits waiting to kill you, such as these mummies. Oh, this is actually perfect training for Dean and Est. For you, train up whomever you think needs the training. There's a Miller Shrine in these woods, which is perfect to promote anyone who you need. Once I promote Pala to a Falco Knight, her stats jump from good to near perfect. 40 HP, and with all that defense, she almost becomes a flying tank. Now, hopefully, that last encounter didn't spook you too much, because the next group to ambush you is a group of level 1 wizards. Yeah, I'm trying to sell you the idea that the Lost Woods host some scary enemies, but as far as the dungeons go, the enemies here are very tame. Thankfully, this battle gives us the last push Dean needs to reach level 10 and promote to a Dread Fighter, cementing Dean as that guy. Your last encounter in these woods are Black Barons labeled as High Knights. What do? I just told you, they're Black Barons. Seriously, their stats aren't any different from regular Barons, so use your magic and smite them away. Now, these Lost Woods are also a host to various treasure, including a silver sword and silver lance. If you manage to find the exit, before you go, make sure to head left from it, then head north to find a little village. The Sage Village, with how hidden it is, has very few residents, but they're all very important. Hark, the sage that protects this villa, explains that the sword that sealed Milla lies within Duma's tower, which lies just ahead. Judah, however, guards the tower. Who is Judah? That's never really explained, but I imagine we'll learn more about him. Celica, feeling helpless, wants to help Alm, and Hark uses telekinesis? Psychic powers? I don't know, but Hark blesses Alm and something happens. I guess we'll find out once we're out of here. Talking to this man, we learn that Judah is invincible, except turns 4, 8, and 12, whatever that means. In exposing his secret, Judah's spell overcomes this man and he evaporates. That's kinda spooky, I think. Okay, well the only thing left here to do is to send some items to Alm and drink from the lion statues. I send over a silver bow and a steel shield to Alm's group. Hopefully that will help him overcome the Necro Dragons. For the lion statue, it gives defense, so I let Pala and Dean drink from it. Leaving the Sage Village, the dragons are back from their sabbatical and attack Alm. But this time, it's getting very serious. Leading their pack is a level 10 dragon with max out HP of 52, 16 defense, and 19 power. However, our leader Alm has received a massive upgrade. It seems Hark bestowed Alm the hero class which can use swords and bows. The biggest glow up is his 14 speed, which lets our hero double zombie dragons, no longer a liability in this map. Our offense has dramatically increased. My word of advice, once the dragon's numbers start to overwhelm you, I'd advise you to form a defensive wall around your failure units, so for me that would be Tita, Dayut, and Python, while you have everyone else form a shield around them, blocking them off from harm. Okay, battle number 4 is down, let's turn our heads back to Celica, but first, make sure to equip the new items you sent to Alm's group to the appropriate people. Padding back to Celica's group, we got ourselves another fortress. This is Jamil. Jamil is kind of a cool guy. There's a bunch of witches outside with a thunder spell, and a shaman that can summon gargoyles. Like always, let's prioritize the annoying mages. Every so often, Jamil will perform a chant that summons a megaquake. I'm not too sure how much damage it does, but it is within a range of numbers. I want to say 5 to 20 damage? Well, whatever the case is, everyone on the map gets hurt, including the enemy, but lucky for them, they have a wizard that heals everyone with Fortify. Meanwhile, I'm stuck in a health deficit for this enemy turn. I actually had a very close call with Saber, but he dodged a lucky thunder spell, and we're able to recuperate our forces and continue on. Pala, being a Falco Knight, deals bonus damage to monsters. How much? I didn't do the math, but with the Silver Lance, Pala can actually one-hit KO every single gargoyle. She only takes 1 damage from Slayers, and it's just so beautiful. It's amazing. Can you imagine if I had this firepower in the previous maps? For you, please have a promoted Pala, or Catcher, or even Est ready at the beginning of Act 4. You'll save yourself so much anguish. Once May drops an aura and Leo snipes Jamil down, we put an end to the Megaquakes and take out the rest of the cronies. Okay, cameras back to Alm. He must deal with his 5th trial. This is ridiculous. 15 dragons versus our army. Most are level 9 and a few level 10s. We are cooked, but we gotta press on. Hopefully this is our final match with these guys. This particular engagement was perhaps my toughest yet, which makes sense. It was neck and neck. Our army is struggling tremendously. The dragons close in on our army too fast, and I don't have enough time to set up our defensive wall to protect our army. In all their noble strength and prosperity, Python sacrifices himself, protecting Tita and Dayut in the process. We're heavily demoralized, losing our only sniper, and arguably one of our best units, but if I can be honest, this is probably the most realistic outcome. I mean, we got some very lucky dodges and criticals, and if one were to fall, I'm glad it was one of our best. Rest in peace, Python. You will never be forgotten. Alright, the last boss of Celica's route is against Judah. Look at him. He's got a dragon shield, which pretty much makes him near unkillable. Not only that, he seals your attacks. It seems we might have to wait until turn 4 to attack. You know, remember the guy that got evaporated, his advice? But Judah's not gonna sit around and just wait for us. You see that little dancing eyeball? That's a beagle. One look at its power and speed should send a shiver down your spine. 20 speed is near unbeatable. If this thing finds a mage, they're dead. Get too cocky with your melee units, you're dead. That's what happened to Jesse. He fell to one of them. And the worst part, they can self-multiply. This is Judah's little baby, and he can summon more of them, up to about 8. Don't let him do that. If you kill the Lone Beagle, Judah taunts you and runs away to the Duma Tower. Then you can deal with any remaining eyeballs. Pala takes care of the last one with May backing her up. Oh yeah, May learned Angel at some point, so she'll be very helpful in monster slaying. Prepare your units and venture forward to Doma's Tower. Just a heads up, the tower battles only allow for 6 units including Celica. Arrange your top 5 units and try to build a balanced team composition. I chose Pala, who is Monster Slayer and is an all-around juggernaut. Saber and Dean are just fast ground units, with Dean as a mage slayer. Mei and Noma round out the team of magic attacks and healing support. I would recommend a balanced team of physical and magical units, as Doma's tower is no joke. While I would tell you to go back and train if need be, we're kind of on a timer. Alm is still trapped, and I don't think he can last much longer. If you need to, take advantage of the lion head that gives speed, save your game, and walk on in to the first battle. Dean leads the storm and gets a lucky critical on the wizard, allowing Pala and Saber to advance in. My other 3 mages have to fall back to avoid any confrontation with the Dread Fighters. Eventually the wall comes down and we advance our mages to take out the Black Baron. This is only the beginning. Save your game and march on forward to match number 2. Now, our forces are split apart and only 5 can come along. It's a good thing you saved. If someone got an unfavorable matchup, you can rearrange your team for the appropriate spot. Dean and Mei can handle their own fight, but Celica and Noma are in trouble. Let's do some rescuing with Pala. Pala and Celica close in on the Bow Knight while Mei finishes him off with an across-the-map aura. From there, Pala rushes over to save Noma, while Mei takes on her own dragon with the Angel spell. Oh yeah, Dean is here too, but he's fine. Save your game and march on forward to the last fight. Now we're down to 4 of our people, and one of them has to protect Celica. The other 2 should take care of their own dragon, ASAP, as they will likely beeline for Celica. Keep your wits about you, and don't take too long to clear the dragons. I gotta repeat this, but save your game. Drink from the lion statues and proceed forward to Judah. He taunts us by informing Celica that Alm is trapped in Dragon Mountain, go figure. He proposes that if we sacrifice ourselves to Lord Doma, Alm will be freed. With no other choice, we walk forward to the basement of Doma Tower. The music here is eerie. These are the catacombs where Doma resides. Walk around for a bit and get a feel for the environment. Head up a bit north and you'll see Judah standing there menacingly. Interact with them and suddenly we're warped into the battlefield. This is Doma's altar, home of human suffering and sacrifice. This is definitely not a party we're welcome to. Slayers, a horde of beagles, witches, and a deformed dragon thing. Judah invites us to die slowly for Doma's pleasure, and the battle ends. Back in the overworld, Alm is finally free. We are down 2 members, but I think we can manage and march on. Let's walk on to fight the Baron boss. Okay, we've got the standard bad guy roll call. A witch that can multiply herself via mitosis, a shaman who creates gargoyles, and a bunch of fully promoted enemies. Compared to 15 dragons, these guys are nothing to us. Especially with the new sniper Alm, who can use a silver bow and attack from 1 to 5 range with 23 power and 15 speed. With Tita backing him up, there isn't anything Alm can do. One unique thing about this map is the boss is hiding away in a fortress across a stream of water. Sadly, most units cannot cross water, only Alm, Gold Knights, and any sword fighters can cross water. Everyone else must either get warped across or just wait idly by. Once you cleared out everyone before the river, only Alm, Zeke, and Cliff can storm the fortress, where Magnum awaits. Just like every other Baron, magic will help you a lot here. Cliff with the lightning sword made good work of piercing his armor. Instead of just blindly marching forward to Regel Castle, if we take a little detour to the right of Regel Falls, there's actually a hidden shrine. Head inside and we can find a bunch of mummies and zombies. This is a great spot to do any last minute grinding before endgame. This room will always have money, so take advantage of this. Once we're done, I bestow Matilda and Clive their proper promotion, and now I have a trio of 3 solid gold knights. Also, as a special treat, we were given 5 opportunities to revive people, which I honestly forgot about, and yeah, but this is a welcome treat. With no hesitation, I bring back Python, Robin, Ryuto, and Silk. And as a special surprise, I also bring over Katria, who died on Celica's side. She may not be with her sisters, but I suspect they'll reunite soon. Once that is taken care of, I'll make a return trip back and train up Python and Katria to their appropriate levels, 10 and 12. And then I grant them the Bow Knight and Falcon Knight evolution. Now we can walk out forward and take up Regel Fortress. Nothing too crazy to see here. This battle does have a bunch of wizards and bone knights, and they're kind of inside the walls. Now, you could try and storm the fortress, just walk in blindly, you have barons blocking your path, the bone knights and wizards will snipe you down, a lot of artillery, but we can do better than that. Remember, now we have a bunch of long-range combat units. Alm and Python, who both have bows, can comfortably snipe the range units from outside. Catcher just straight up ignores the walls and she can walk right in and with the high bulk, fight any bone knight or wizard by herself. Dayut, Ryuto, and Robin can provide magical support, especially because Dayut's mage ring gives her 5 range. And to top it all off, Tita can heal everyone with Fortify. And Silk can back her up, giving her the healing she needs to do it every single turn. With this perfect combination of offense and support, the enemy does not stand a chance. And eventually I send in the Gold Knight trio and they eliminate each Baron Guard respectively. With the fort conquered, save your game and prepare yourself for the last bastion. We're finally here. From the beginning of Fire Emblem Gaiden, our Liberation Army had one goal: take out the Rigel Empire and liberate Sophia. Now at the footsteps of Rigel Castle, only one enemy remains: Emperor Rudolph. Rudolph sees our approaching army and makes his peace with fate. He rallies his army and announces the age of Rigel has ended. For his final request, he orders his army to stand down should he fall. For a cruel emperor, he sure does have a way with words. But it's time. The final battle. Inspect Rudolph and realize he is not messing around. 22 defense, 52 HP, good luck denting him at all. And to top it off, he has 40 luck with the Angel Ring, which makes him nigh untouchable with spells. 27 power and 21 speed makes Rudolph an absolute juggernaut, who's going to require perhaps our entire army to bring him down. Let's ignore him for now and trim down his army. First things first, to the right is a couple of wizards with Fortify. They cannot continue to live, so I send in Dayut and Python to take care of them. In the meanwhile, Alm stands his ground and takes on the bone knights atop the walls. Eventually, the first horse brigade closes in, and I send in the horse trio to match their assault. Cliff and the others provide range support while we slowly chart our way through the battalion. Remember my old favorite tactic: try not to leave anyone with less than half health, or, they might run away to go heal. Once the horses are defeated, it's time to close in on Rudolph. I have Dayut take down some of the barons protecting Rudolph, as well as the last wizard. With the nasty guys out the way, I send in Clive to bait Rudolph. He takes the bait. He advances in and the battle begins. With no time at all, Rudolph bashes Clive's head in for 28 damage, already putting Clive in danger. Alm charges in to attack Rudolph and he misses, but something strange happens. Rudolph refuses to attack Alm. What gives? He had no problem beating up Clive, but why not Alm? Even when it's Rudolph's turn, he chooses to engage Alm but refuses to actually pick up his lance. With confusion among our ranks, we continue the war on the Emperor. Zeke, Alm, and Cliff lead the main assault on him, with Tita supporting with their global heals. Eventually, Zeke pinpoints Rudolph's weakness and finishes him off with a critical strike. Rudolph is down, and by his most loyal knight no less. In his last words, Rudolph reflects on his decision to entrust Alm to Sir Mycen, then name Josh's full name as Albine Alm Rudolph, the one and only son of Emperor Rudolph. This was foreshadowed from Act 3 when Dozer, in death, cursed Rudolph for handing off Rigel to his brat, as well as from Act 4 when Zeke recognizes Alm's brand on his arm. As his father, he entrusts his son with the task to save Valencia by recovering Falchion, the blade that sealed Milla, and destroy the evil god Doma. As a kid, this reveal absolutely floored me. I honestly did not see it coming, and to think I killed my own father made me feel a certain type of way. I knew Alm was special, but to think he would have to unknowingly slay his own father made for such a cool twist. As Rudolph commanded, the rest of his men stand down and the war ends. Alm, leader of the Liberation Army, remains victorious. Sophia is saved. But the real war has just begun. Doma, the Earth God, remains as the last evil that plagues Valencia. Before the curtains of Act 4 close, speak with Sir Mycen, who has been waiting for us all this time. Alm in his confusion demands to know how the evil emperor could be his father, then breaks down in tears once he realizes he just committed patricide. Sir Myson, in his never-ending wisdom, finally breaks down the plot of this game and why we're even in this war. Valencia was a continent that was ruled by two patron gods, Milla and Doma. Both had their respective cults and followings, but remained respectful, with Milla of love and Doma of power. Eventually, both deities started to slowly lose their sanity and began degrading, especially with the Doma cult becoming more aggressive and delving into human sacrifice and witch incantations. Both gods had evolved themselves too much with humans and as a result split the continent into two, with Doma ruling Rigel and Milla ruling Sofia. Rudolph, realizing humanity is heading to ruin, sought out to destroy the two mad gods. He entrusted his only son to Sir Myson and told him of his destiny to reunite Valencia. Starting with Milla, he used falchion to seal her. However, Doma and his cult was too strong, so he sealed the falchion in Doma's lair under his own nose and awaited for Alm to reclaim his heritage. Recognizing Alm as the true king, Sir Myson joins our team and Chapter 4 ends. Save your game and prepare for the endgame. Alright, we're finally at the home stretch now. Let's familiarize ourselves with the people of Rigel. After all, we're their king now. Messena, captain of the King's Guard, and his knights assure their loyalty to us, King Rudolph II. The local sage warns us that the entrance to Doma's altar lies beyond here, and that we won't be able to return. He is dead serious. From this point forward, you will not be able to return to the world that has light. Any last minute grinding you need to do it now. Once you're good, arrange your best 10, say any last goodbyes, and head down to the world of darkness. The wall caves in behind us. There is truly no return. Just keep your head up and walk down the path. Eventually through the walls, you hear a commotion. It's Celica and her party. Alm rushes down and Celica pleads to Alm to save her and her friends. Of course we will. Steadfast, we journey along to find Falchion. As you walk down, you'll notice some black walls. Inspect one of them to find a secret path that leads to the legendary fabled weapon, the Gladius. Yeah, sorry, it's not Falchion, but Gladius is just as good. It's a super high powered throwing spear with 15 extra damage. I give it to Zeke, the strongest knight of all of Valencia. He, I think, is most deserving of its power. Navigating through Duma's lair can be quite messy. If you want, ask a friend for a map, or look one up on the internet. Since you're here, you can follow along with me, and I'll do my best to guide you along. Most of my conversation at Chapter 5 will be surrounding the battles instead of the navigation. I do enjoy the little journey of walking through this eerie dungeon though. Every so often when you enter a room, Celica and her crew will take damage in the ensuing battle. Thankfully they won't die, still we shouldn't waste too much time. Also, final warning, you can't save anywhere here, which to say the least is kind of frustrating, so make sure to bring your A game. For my final party, I decided to bring Alm, Dayut, Katria, Zeke, Matilda, Clive, Sir Myson, Tita, Python, and Cliff. There are some pitfall puzzles you must solve where you must fall down the correct hole to proceed. These are mostly solved by trial and error, so whatever you guess wrong, just make a quick note of the correct hole as you're falling. Once you get the correct hole, proceed to your first battle. Your first fight within the altar is some standard stuff. There is a small gimmick for this map. You see the yellow tile over there? One of the barons will activate that trap, which breaks down the wall, but drops a stream of poisonous water. Besides that, don't worry too much and defeat all the enemies. Down further is your second pitfall quiz, followed by your second battle. Battle number 2 creates an interesting way to funnel enemies in. Basically, that yellow tile now teleports enemies that stand upon it. The locations they warp to are any of the red tiles that are outside the fort, While not particularly interesting, it is a shame that map gimmicks are spread few and far in between. I do appreciate their attempts, I only wish there could have been more of that. This map also features not one, not two, but 3 bosses. Yeah, insane, right? And they're actually kind of dangerous too. We got Kells and Belrez, whom are level 10 slayers, and Badez, the level 10 gold knight with maxed out health. Once all the slayers have left their spawn point, Badez will open the gate and charge down, so be very careful. I almost lost Dayu in one of my attempts. This right here is a good example of why you need to kill that beagle on the first turn. Can you see yourself clearing 14 of them? And no, there is no host, so you must kill them all. I guess we're gonna have to reset. Trust me, this beagle has been the cause of many of my resets. Use a mage with the magic ring and angel, or a super falcon knight to beat up that eyeball. Now we have the last pitfall puzzle here. Don't worry, by the way, if you mess up any of the pitfall puzzles, you only have to do the battles once. Battle number 3 has a fake time limit, as every turn the floor breaks down from the south and is replaced with poison water, or lava. I say a fake time limit because it's just a standard 5 HP poison damage and it's really slow too. Approach us like any other battle and you'll be fine. Walk towards the blue doors and read the sign, only regale royalty beyond this point. And they're not kidding. The next 3 maps, Alm must conquer the trial of the Falchion and claim his birthright. Alone. With only his might and wits, Alm must slay wights, gargoyles, and white dragons. While it sounds daunting, Alm is an absolute unit and can do this, even without any levels. If I had to guess, whoever designed the trial of the Falchion, likely Milla and Doma, placed some failsafes for the hero. The main one being, every map has a heal tile, so Alm should never be in any real danger. It's just up to you, as a tactician, to recognize that and make the call to put him there. I think there's a missed opportunity to have Alm do some introspection or some dialogue to develop his character, but nope. It's just a trial of might against the undead. Then you pick up Falchion from the chest, it's just in that chest lying there. Anyways, reclaim the sacred heirloom of Regale, Falchion, and please make sure to equip it right away. I'll just say it, without Falchion, your battle with Doma becomes exponentially harder and you'll most likely just soft lock your game. Okay, let's head back up and join the fight with Celica. Head back to the room with the first floor puzzle, fall down the correct pitfall, head to the second puzzle, and instead of going left, choose the very specific hole on my screen and you'll fall through to a new section. Head up the stairs, make sure your party is decked out to the brim with the best equipment, make sure Alm has Falchion equipped. Seriously, step to the door and prepare yourself for the end. Alm notices Celica on the other side and professes that he will stop this war and protect her. Celica rebukes this as Judah seals all attacks and spawns endless beagles. She apologizes for her weakness and explains that the real reason she left her home was because she had a bad premonition of Alm. Wanting to protect Alm from the war and pain, she set out to find Milla and resolve this conflict without fighting. Before she can continue, Alm screams she's not having any of that and resolves to protect her once again. Then, the battle starts. We're pulling out all the stops here, all animations on, unique player and enemy phase music, and even a new battle music to accompany us. If you told me all the budget of Gaiden went to the final map, I would believe you. This is one of my favorite map themes of all time and really encompasses the feeling that this is really the end. And the best part is we're doing this together. After all, the track is called Together to the End. Okay, first things first. Remember those 3 bosses from the second map, Badez, Belrez, and Kells? Well, they're back, and they're hot on our tail. We'll need someone to slow them down and distract them while we advance forward. I send Zeke off because he's my strongest knight, and with the Gladius, he is more than worthy to be our bastion. Everyone else from Alm's army moves forward, and I have Tita cast Fortify to heal up Celica's army. Meanwhile down south, I aggressively attack the beagles and eliminate as much of them as I can this turn, as I don't want them to multiply out of control. On enemy phase, the boss trio takes the bait and gangs up on Zeke. Even with all of Zeke's strength, they all double him and they quickly wear him down to half health. I also have a very close call with Est, but I get very lucky and she dodges the Beagle's attack. When I get the chance, I use this opportunity to mop up the rest of the eyeball dudes. Side note, Alm's Falchion is also effective against the Beagles, so take advantage of that. I also have Zeke retreat back to our group to gain some ground and get healed up by Tita before going back in to keep the trio distracted. Unfortunately, Beagles are Judah's babies and he creates more for us to deal with. We'll have to take care of Judah fast, but how? In my desperation, I try to snipe him with Leo, but he seals Leo's attack and kills him from full health with the super powered death spell. I did not intend for Leo to get killed like that, and I can't go back. So, I'm so sorry, Leo. I do recall a strange man who said, turn 4, 8, 12. That may be the key to killing Judah, we'll just have to try next turn. Meanwhile, Abona gets very close to killing Celica, and that would have been a horrible game over. On the flip side, Zeke manages to take out Badez, their leader, and that puts a significant dent in Doma's army. Up north, more Beagles start to spawn, more than we could probably manage. Gaining back control, I move into Swarm Judah, and the rumors were true. Every 4 turns, his magic seal breaks and we can damage him. That means this is our one chance to kill him, unless we want to wait 4 more turns. May comes very close to death, but clutches out with 2 HP. Catcher then moves in for the finishing blow, freeing our army from Judah's might. Judah curses us with his dying words, saying we'll regret this. Yeah, sure man, okay, whatever you say. With their creator dead, all the Beagles fade away, and things are looking up for our party. All that's left is to take out the 2 witches and their fortified wizard, and we can beat up Doma without interruption. Zeke kills Kells, the last dude of the trio, and Doma in desperation starts to produce his own Beagles. I guess Doma lent Judah the power to summon those eyeball devils? Additionally, the witches start multiplying as well, so we definitely need to hurry. Actually, those 2 witches are the same 2 we fought in Act 4, Hest and Mara. Small world. According to data somewhere, they're the daughters of Judah whom he sacrificed to Doma. In return, they were reborn as powerful witches. They're also the sisters of Sonya, the mage we defeated way back in Celica's trip to Geese's fortress. Once we start getting close, Doma activates the Earth Spirits and casts Mega Quake, and everyone suffers major damage. Pala runs into a very close call. Actually, wait a minute, before I continue, okay, if Pala and Katria are on Pegasus, and they ignore terrain, and they fly, how do they get hurt by Mega Quake? I know this happened all the way in Act 4, and this doesn't make any sense to me, whatever. Okay. Anyways, Pala runs into a close call, and she survives her assault with 1 HP to spare. After some cleanup, it's time to move in Alm to take on Doma. While Alm marches on, the others surround the deranged god and keep him distracted. Doma has hit the jackpot in defensive stats. He has question mark health, so I don't even know how much health he really has, especially with this 20 in both magic and physical defense. It's going to be a trial to break through. Still, for the good of Valencia, we must prevail and seal him once and for all. Doma has 2 separate attacks, Tentacle which hits your defense, and Eyeball which hits your resistance. Both are very strong, with Eyeball doing 30 damage and Tentacle doing around 35, so take caution when keeping distracted. With Alm finally here, the games are over, and the true final battle begins. He closes in with his unique animation, aiming Falchion for the head, dealing 8 damage per hit. He dodges the deadly eye beam, but it's not enough. Doma heals per turn, so we need to expedite this process, but how? Celica, as Alm's love interest, moves in closer to Alm to provide the moral support he needs. Alm, knowing his childhood friend is by his side, is no longer worried and manages to secure himself 2 critical hits in a row on Doma's counterattack. Even with all this effort, it seems the HP is not moving at all, but don't despair, you are making progress. We must keep going. Eventually Dean hits him and he's finally down to 43 health. As the others join in, Doma assumes a new form and seals everyone's attacks. It seems he's immune to all hits now, all except the falchion. Knowing this, we engage Doma with Alm one last time. When Celica stands beside Alm, all of his attacks become critical hits. On the last hit, Alm throws his shield and performs the most epic downward thrust straight into Doma's eye, ending this war once and for all. Doma does not curse Alm, but instead thanks him and passes on his will to Alm, the will to rule over Valencia fairly. With Milla's love and Doma's might, Alm will assure these events will never repeat themselves. His last request? Never disturb the slumber of the gods again. And with that, Doma joins Milla in their eternal slumber, as mankind is left to rule over themselves once again. Many have died and gave their life for this cause, but the war is now over, and peace has been restored once again. Alm, with his queen by his side, Celica, rule over Valencia with might and love. And here ends the story of Fire Emblem Gaiden. While I would show the epilogue, my game froze once it showed Gray, who died a while back, so oops. Besides that, thank you for joining me on this journey and commentary of one of my favorite games. I remember when I first discovered this about 10 years ago, I was enamored by the open world aspect of this game. Revisiting this game, Gaiden for sure has its shortcomings that can turn off some people, but I think if you're an RPG enthusiast and are looking for something new for your palette, Gaiden could definitely satisfy you. Personally, I think as a strategy game, it holds up well to this day. It is an NES game, so there are some things I personally could do without. The game gets slow at some points, it can be tough to actually determine if you'll win a fight, and the fights can be pretty unreliable with so much terrain giving avoid bonuses. However, the music, the open-endedness to customize some of your character classes, and the variety of weapons and options to grind, Gaiden is a very well-made NES JRPG, and has some of the most interesting maps in the Fire Emblem series. Also, the animations are amazing and they feel very vibrant despite how simplistic they are. If you're a fan of Fire Emblem, I'd say this is one you should definitely try, despite being the black sheep of the series. If you love JRPGs in general, this is 100% the best JRPG on the NES, so give it a try. And before I go, I just want to give another special thank you to my thumbnail artist Hayes Canvas for the wonderful thumbnail. Please give them a follow on Instagram, their stuff is really good. Let me know what you think of this game or your experience in the comments, and with that, I bid thee all farewell. Until next time.